38-35, and after that, Cortland ran the table, going undefeated the rest of the way, winning the Division III national championship. But you got to feel like there's still going to be a chip on their shoulder because they did not beat the Riverhawks last year. So they're going to come into this game hungry, and the Riverhawks are going to have to give it all they've got.
Oh, absolutely. Again, the only blemish on Cortland's resume last season was that one loss. But with that, with the anthem on our way, we'll step aside. We'll be back after the break. An excellent performance, as always, by the Susquehanna Marching Band. But Alex, you said SUNY Cortland ran the table the rest of the way. They won 12 straight of their remaining games to close out last year, ending with the national title. And to start the year, they're 2-0. That's 14 in a row. What are the keys for the Riverhawks here to end that streak at 14 today?
I think it's about setting the tone early because through Cortland's first two games, they went off to big leads early and did not look back. Week 1 at Hilbert, they won 76-0. Last week against the team that Susquehanna is quite familiar with, Lycoming, the final score of that game was 70-7. So it's about really starting this game off well and keeping it ultra competitive through the first quarter, because if Cortland runs away with it early, then the Riverhawks could be in big trouble.
Well, the way it's looking here, Cortland will be kicking it away to Susquehanna. They'll start off with the possession. And as you said, with the way Cortland's been getting off to hot starts to start this season, you have a feeling that this is the right decision here by the Riverhawks to start with the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the game last year, Cortland had a pretty big lead late, but the Riverhawks scored 17 points over the last few minutes. A real coming out party for quarterback Josh Ehrlich, who threw for 227 yards and added 162 on the ground with 4 all-purpose touchdowns. And obviously, ever since then, he's gotten better and better. And we have seen the strides he's taken since he began last year as the team's starting quarterback.
Yeah, Ehrlich, as the kick gets underway, will be fielded by Kyle Howes at the 3-yard line. Very dangerous returner, but there's not a whole lot to go here, and he gets pushed out of bounds at around the 20-yard line. As you said, Josh Ehrlich, an excellent game against Cortland last year. He's been excellent through 2 games through this season. And Coach Tom Perkovich said that game against Cortland last year, the best of his Riverhawk career. How does he top that performance today?
Well, I think it's just about consistency, continuing to go through his progressions, making the right reads, also still not being afraid to run, which we know is the case with him, one of the most dynamic dual-threat quarterbacks at the Division III level.
So they get spotted at the 19-yard line, and Rashawn Lamons will start off at running back for the Riverhawks with 4 receivers wide. Cortland rushing 5 as Ehrlich. He's going for the long ball early. His intended target, it's incomplete. Trying to get to Hunter Morganroth, number 19. He'll bring up 2nd and 10.
I don't mind the decision to be aggressive early. Cortland only had 1 safety back deep, so the Riverhawks want to go for the home run early. It doesn't work there. Really good coverage there on the left side by the Red Dragons. Curious to see how Susquehanna looks to implement the run game here, because obviously in the matchup last year, Rashawn Lamons was not on the team. And of course, over these first 2 weeks, he has blossomed into one of the most important pieces of this offense.
Coach Tom Perkovich saying that he is the player to watch today. He gets the ball on 2nd down and 10, and that's a nice run up the middle. Tackle it around the 35, and it'll move the chains.
Perfectly executed run play. As you can see here, Lamons is quickly able to find the hole. Terrific job by the left side of the offensive line to create space for him. And Lamons, for a young first-year running back, His ball carrier vision and his ability to find holes is really, really impressive, as shown there.
Gets the ball again. They hurry to the line. Lamons with a nice game there, around 5 or 6 yards, around the 41.
And I think what's impressive about Lamons, even as a smaller back, 5'8", 180, he's really good in these short yardage situations as well. He's a tough physical runner who can break tackles, which isn't always the case with guys his size. Obviously, he's known for his ability to hit the home run, but he's also a guy who you can trust and depend on first down when you're looking to get, as you can see here, about 6 yards.
But he subs out of the game now. On 2nd down and 3, Tommy Grabowski now in the game at running back for the Riverhawks. Had himself a great game against Cortland last year as well. They'll throw it on this down. Ehrlich to Kyle Howes. He makes the catch. A lot of contact there, but he brings it down into Cortland territory at the 43.
That was a great throw there by Ehrlich and a perfectly timed cut there by Kyle Howes. That was good coverage by number 7, Nazir Jean Lubin. But Howes is able to release and separate at the right time, coming down with an impressive catch. Howes, another guy who had a big game last year against Portland, and of course was fantastic last week in the win against Brockport.
John Lubin starting all 15 games last year for the Red Dragons, making his first appearance of the season today. As this time it goes to Tommy Grabowski, and again, another solid gain inside the 40.
I think if the Riverhawks can get Grabowski going, that would be a big deal, because with the emergence of Rashawn Lamons, Grabowski has not gotten his regular usage that we saw last year, ran for 100 yards and a score in the win against Cortland a season ago. And obviously he was fantastic throughout the rest of the season, rushing for over 1,000 yards, but he hasn't been able to get a consistent start. His touches have been down, and when he's been in the game, he's been a little inconsistent. So I think the Riverhawks really want to get him going early and often here in this first quarter.
2nd down and 6 from the 39. 4 receivers wide. Grabowski still in the game at running back. Ehrlich rolls out. He's looking. He's firing down the middle. Finds Kyle Howes down at around the 13-yard line. An excellent play.
That was a really good read there by Ehrlich. He sees the lapse inside the coverage. Ehrlich gets space away from the safety. This time Cortland goes with 2 safeties deep, but Ehrlich is able to get by the safety on the right side, creating, again, a lot of separation between him and the defensive back, leading to the first down. And so far, this offense is looking really strong. Cortland's defense has been unbelievably good this year. Again, only allowing 7 points thus far, but the Riverhawks offense looks great through the first 3 minutes.
They once again go after John Lubin on that play. Now, fresh set of downs, Susquehanna looking for a touchdown here. They slow down the tempo a little bit. 3 receivers wide, Ehrlich and shotgun. They get the snap off with the whistle blown. So it's a lay a game against the Riverhawks, so now 1st and 15. Everything going well up until that moment.
Yeah, and obviously the Riverhawks are looking to avoid the penalties. It was night and day from the first week to the second week. Against Bridgewater, they were penalized over 10 times. It was sloppy despite their great win. But then last week against Brockport, the penalties went considerably down. It's clear that this team is really focused on avoiding the flags, and we'll see if that's the case again here today.
8 penalties for 60 yards in that game, as Ehrlich will throw over the middle to Rowan Hershey, and a nice tackle in open space by number 44, Ellis Einbinder. Now brings up 2nd down.
Yeah, that was a good play there by Einbinder. He recognizes the short pass early. If Hershey was able to get by the first level, he would have had room to turn that into a strong gain. But Einbinder reads the play quickly, stays with Hershey.
But a penalty on Cortland, that's a killer right there. So after a great play, it brings up a fresh set of downs for the Riverhawks. And they will spot the ball just shy of the 6-yard line.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Now the Riverhawks are into the red zone. They have to capitalize here. You cannot settle for 3. You got to get 7. The Riverhawks are going to have plenty of chances here. I'm curious to see what they dial up on first down. I imagine you have to start with the ground game here.
It'll have to be done with Grabowski. In motion is number 88, Michael Robbins. On 1st and goal, they'll throw it. Ehrlich trying to shimmy around, stays on his feet. He can't get away from everyone, however. He's brought down around the 14.
Taken down in the backfield for a sack by Portland.
And I think that's exactly why they should have started with the run, because the sack pushes them back at the 14, close to where they were originally. Now it's 2nd and goal, and you're backed up 14 yards away from the end zone. You have a lot less options here with the playbook. Now, sure, they could run it again, but it makes things a lot more tricky in terms of an offensive play calling perspective.
They hand it off to Grabowski here, but this time not a whole lot to work with. He maybe got a yard. Down to the 12, 3rd and goal.
And if the Riverhawks really want to get a touchdown here, they're probably going to have to throw the ball. They could always concede, go for a short run, look to kick the field goal. But I think given how good this possession has been, you wouldn't feel that great with 3 points. So I would expect them to go for the pass, go for the end zone. Obviously, Ehrlich is going to have to be smart and avoid throwing it into trouble. But I think they're going to be aggressive here on 3rd down.
That sack really put a dent into plans. Jaden Martinez, number 23, able to help bring him down. Susquehanna gets Lamons back into the game. Fake the handoff to him. Down the middle. Caught. Touchdown, Riverhawks. It's Kyle House. He loses his helmet, but he hangs on.
What a great play there by Ehrlich. Dials up, sends it towards the middle. I'm a little bit surprised that Cortland didn't have more bodies in the middle. They also had everybody within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage originally. It doesn't look like they really had a safety or two back deep in the end zone, which is probably what they should have tried to do. It seems like they were too focused on not letting the Riverhawks get anything underneath and a big play after the catch. But instead, that makes the end zone more susceptible to where Howes is able to open up and make a great grab for the score.
Extra point on the way by Christian Colasurdo, and he knocks it down. 7-0 Riverhawks. It took 5.5 minutes to get it into the end zone, but it was looking shaky there, but Susquehanna does not waste the red zone chance.
Yeah, for the most part, that was a really good drive. It got a little bit ugly late with the penalty on the delay of game and then the sack, but a great rebound there. Big drive from Ehrlich, big drive from Kyle Howes. And already the Riverhawks start up 7-0. We'll see how Cortland's able to respond, trailing for the first time this entire season.
Yeah, as you said, this is uncharted territory for Cortland. And obviously through the first 2 games, they've been so great they haven't had to face it yet. But we'll see how they are down. But with this lethal offense, they know it just takes one big play to even up the score.
Absolutely, and that was the key for them in the matchup last year, the big plays. Zach Boyes, of course, this terrific quarterback. He didn't have to throw the ball a ton in terms of high volume, only completed 11 passes, but he still ended up with nearly 400 yards. His 2 top receivers, though, are gone. J.J. Loft in that game, 5 catches for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cole Burgess, 3 catches for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns. And those guys are terrific players. They're on NFL practice squads right now. Loft with the Rams, Burgess with the Bengals. Obviously, the receiving corps gotten a little bit worse, but the All-American running back, Jaden Alfano St. John, who was the primary ball carrier for them last year, has converted over to a wide receiver.
He's also back deep on the kickoff, but that one sails out of bounds, and Cortland's going to get some real nice field position coming up. Jaden Alfano St. John back deep on the kickoff. He wisely just lets it bounce out of bounds.
Out of bounds. Kicking team number 92. Cortland has elected to place the ball at the 35-yard line. First down.
So some solid field position for Cortland, and as you said, here comes Zach Boyes. Coach Perkovich described him as the best quarterback in Division III football. And so far through 2 weeks, he's looked the part of it with some excellent counting stats.
Absolutely, an All-American last year, preseason first-team Division III. This kid is special.
But on first down, they hand it off. Very patient and a very good gain out of it as Ethan Gallo, number 39, gets tackled after the 40-yard line.
Gallo's gotten off to a pretty good start this year as the primary running back, with Jaden Alfano St. John moving over to receiver. This is obviously a pass-first team. They've ran the ball around 60% of the time this year, but that's largely been because they've had such big leads going into the second half. These guys are going to look to throw the ball early and often with, again, as Coach Perkovich said, the best quarterback in Division III.
It's 2nd down and 2. Now they go to the air. Boyes, quick pass over, and the ball caught by Jason Ziva for a first down.
Of course, much of the attention with this receiving corps is on Alfano St. John, but they're obviously going to need other guys to step up. And why not Jason Ziva, who makes a nice play there, able to move the chains, and Cortland already has it at around midfield.
Ziva with 8 catches for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns on the season. And again, Cortland hurries to the line quickly. 4 receivers wide. Gallo showing some motion. And Boyd's going to keep it himself, and that's read beautifully by the Riverhawk front. Brought down by Garrett Carter, the standout middle linebacker.
It's been another great season so far for Garrett Carter, who reads the play perfectly. The Riverhawks had a lot of guys there near the line of scrimmage. It looked like Andrew Wells, number 2, was the only safety deep. They were prepared for the run, and they got it. Boys, who's a really good runner himself, gets nothing. Obviously, we've talked about his ability as a passer, 44 touchdowns a season ago, but he can run as well. He's really athletic.
2nd down and 10 for Cortland. And Boyd's going to take off again, and a very minimal gain of around 2 yards or so. Looks like it's Tim Furson, number 94, who's in there on the play.
I'm a little bit surprised by that play call from Cortland. They tried the QB run on 1st down, didn't work. This time they just go for a traditional QB draw, trying to get a few yards. But if they wanted to do that, I don't see why you put your quarterback through the middle of the line. I feel like you just got to give it to the running back there. Don't risk your quarterback getting banged up.
So a 3rd and long coming up for the Red Dragons. And look at the Riverhawks sidelines. They are pumped up.
And for good reason. Through the first half of the first quarter, the Riverhawks have been clearly the better team up to this point. The offense looked really good on their first drive. The defense is looking strong here. And if they can get a stop here on 3rd and 7, talk about setting the tone. That is exactly what they've done on both sides of the ball. So this is a pivotal play here for Cortland to get something going. They ran it on 1st and 2nd down. It didn't really work. They're going to look to throw it here. And again, I don't know if there's a quarterback at the Division III level who you trust in this situation more than Zach Boyes, given how good he's been this year, how good he was last year, and of course his body of work as a starter for this team over the last few years, especially with all the playmakers they have on this offense.
Zach Boyes coming into this game, only 3 incomplete passes on the entire year and 6 touchdown passes with nary an interception. So he's doubled up on touchdown passes compared to incompletions. But like you said, this is a critical 3rd and long, and if Susquehanna can prevent them from moving any further, you'd have to imagine they would punt. It would be a risky maneuver to go for it this early on in the game in such a spot. Here we go, 4th down and 7. Boyes, quick throw, almost picked off. This building would have been shaken if Ben Monger had come away with that one.
And he had the big interception last week in the second half. If he comes down with that, it's a pick 6. Nonetheless, still a really good play. He recognizes the curl route immediately, jumps the route, makes a play on the ball. A rare mistake from Zach Boyes, who hasn't thrown an interception this year, barely turned it over last year, but that was completely the wrong read, and Monger reads the play perfectly. Again, that could have been a touchdown, could have been a pick 6, but nonetheless, if you're the defense, you got to be feeling good with how that first drive went, only letting up the 1 first down.
Beloga gets it away. Defense does its job, and Rashawn Lamons fair catches it around the 5-yard line, so he's able to get pinned back deep, and we see some physical play on that kick return. But here comes the Riverhawk offense again, a chance to go up by 2 scores on the defending national champions.
Yeah, but they're backed up at the 5. They have to be smart. I would be really surprised if they run it here on 1st down, because part of what makes this passing game unique is Josh Ehrlich's ability to scramble and dance outside the pocket. The problem is 5 yards to his back is the end zone, and if he gets sacked, it's a safety. So I think that's sort of what the Riverhawk passing game predicates on, and because of that, as long as they're backed up really inside the 10, I can't see them throwing it unless it's some kind of short pass or an RPO.
See what it is here. Lamont's back in the game at running back, and he gets the ball, and he gets them out of the dead zone. He is carrying Cortland defenders with him to the 15, and that should be enough for the 1st down.
Yeah, that's a perfect play there for Susquehanna. Run it up the middle. Rashawn Lamont's able to find holes, as you can see, dancing between his blockers.
But there is an injured Riverhawk down there on the field. It looks like it's Sean Yamada, number 33, the senior tight end. He's critical to their pass blocking schemes, but he is shaken up.
7 minutes and 26 seconds. 7-2 set.
While Yamada gets looked at, we'll step aside for a bit. Actually, no, he gets back up on his feet relatively quickly, gets a standing ovation from the crowd, and this Riverhawk offense ready to go back to work.
Yeah, now that they have it at the 15-yard line, the playbook opens up a lot. And now the passing game very well could be looked at here. I definitely think they're going to continue to look for Rashawn Lamons early and often on this drive because he's been really impressive here in this first quarter. But now that they're not backed up inside the 5, they also have the option to throw the ball. So Cortland's defense is going to have to be a little bit more prepared. And as you can see, it looks like they've got multiple defensive backs past 5 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Well, Lamons does get it again. And again, another solid run of around 5 yards goes right into the chest of Jack Winey, number 33, the linebacker, for a nice gain.
Yeah, that was a good play there by Winey. He recognized that it was an outside run early, so rather than trying to engage up the middle, he goes to the side where he's able to meet Lamons. Still a decent gain, gets around 4 or 5, but could have been a lot more if Winey didn't read the play correctly.
The Riverhawks now at the 20-yard line. They've been moving the ball well to start off this drive. Rowan Hershey, the tight end, goes in motion. And this time they're going to throw. Ehrlich looking. Nobody home. Contained very well by the defense, and he has to throw it away. 3rd and 5.
Yeah, that was good coverage there by Cortland. It looks like they were mostly in man there. Once we saw Hershey in motion and the safety follow, Ehrlich is able to figure that out, but unfortunately, none of his receivers are able to open up. Makes the smart play there by throwing it away because there weren't any open rushing lanes for him. And that's been the thing for Ehrlich this year. He's been able to find space and create big plays with his legs when none of the receivers have been able to open up. But Cortland recognizes this. They were able to keep a couple guys near the line of scrimmage to watch out for him. And because of that, rather than go for the run, Ehrlich is going to have to send it out of bounds.
Yeah, Anthony Luciano, the safety, able to contain him and prevent a big run. You see him back deep on 3rd and 5. Cortland, they're rushing 4. Quick screen to Rashawn Lamont. Makes a man miss. Gets close, but is it close enough? It doesn't look like it. It looks like he's maybe a yard short.
Yeah, that's a big defensive drive here for Cortland. It looked like they had 2 safeties back deep, prepared for the big play. The Riverhawks wanted to go short, though, try to get something after the catch, but Lamont was not able to get enough space, it looked like. And it appears the offense is staying on the field. That's because of the face mask on the tackle. That is a massive break for the Riverhawks. Cortland could not afford to give that penalty up because their defense presumably would have been off the field. Now the Riverhawks get great field position at the 39, and even more importantly, they get to reset the downs.
So they're now at the 39. It looked close in real time, but the refs do give the call to the Riverhawks. It's a fresh set of downs, but it looked like they were ready to go for it in that situation as Lamont takes the handoff, has got a lot of room. Here he goes. Open space ahead, and you can kiss him goodbye. Touchdown Riverhawks, Rashawn Lamont.
I think Cortland was a little bit too much expecting the pass. They had their corners pressed up with the receivers, and because of that, Lamont is able to find space. Once he gets by the second level and the linebackers, the safeties are not going to be able to make easy pursuit tackling angles because he's too fast. As you can see, once he gets to around the 45, there's no way the safety's going to make the play there because he just can't keep up with Lamont in terms of speed. He takes it the rest of the way, a 61-yard touchdown that could have been prevented because of the face mask, but instead, Lamont takes it to the house. We've talked about his home run ability. Big touchdowns in week 1, big plays in special teams last week, and now here, the encore continues for the first-year running back.
Colasurno nails the PAT 14-0 with 5:59 to go in the first quarter. And as you said, Alex, from bad to worse, you got the stop. You don't know if Susquehanna would have went for it. It would have been a huge risk, but the face mask penalty gives them the free first down, and then, boom, Rashawn Lamont, 61 yards. How does Cortland try to get this back on track with this upcoming drive?
I think offensively, you just have to stick with your game. Obviously, this has been a rough start for them through the first 9 minutes. The Riverhawks clearly look like the better team up to this point, but Cortland just has to stick with what's worked for them throughout the first 2 games this year and throughout last year. I think they need to get the passing game working early here. They weren't able to get too much there on the first drive, nearly at the pick 6 from Ben Monger. So I think Cortland's going to look to be extra aggressive here in the passing game. Utilize your All-American quarterback in Zach Boyce, who really didn't look downfield on that first possession. I think that's going to change here, especially on these early downs. I wouldn't be surprised if he looks at least 15, 20-plus yards down the field within the first 2 plays of this possession.
Last time Susquehanna kicked it off, they kicked it out of bounds and gave Cortland some solid field position. As you said, they weren't able to do much of anything with it. Alphonso St. John and Ravi Dodds Jr., the 2 back deep, to potentially return it. And the kick is underway. Again, hooking towards Alphonso St. John's side, but he fumbles the kickoff, and he's got to take it out. We'll see what he does here. He gets a lot out of it. Here we go, a lot of open space. Alphonso St. John races by the kicker. Bruce, the only one with a chance, and he's going to take it for a touchdown. The special teams bite Susquehanna in the rear end again. Jaden Alfano St. John from over 100 yards takes it all the way to the house.
Watch him here. He's going side to side because he sees that there's going to be space opening up to the left side. Once it gets to around the 20 or 30-yard line, he knows he just has to outrun everybody. The kicker's not going to bring him down, is he? Jaden Alfano St. John is the top skill position player on this team. He's one of the best athletes on the field. Shows it there. Again, ran for 1,400 yards last year. He's obviously converted to a primary receiver, and that play could have gone south quickly because, again, he muffed the kick in the end zone, but he does a great job of responding because the Riverhawks overcompensate for it. They send everybody to the right side of the field, leaving all that space on the left for Alfano St. John to go.
Pick up, kick on the way, and it is good. So 15 seconds later, Cortland gets it back to a one-touchdown game. And again, this Susquehanna special teams, who has been really the one crack in their armor through the first two games. And it's been a problem, and Cortland takes advantage of it.
Yeah, it hasn't been pretty in terms of special teams. We've seen a kick or punt return touchdown allowed in each of the first three games now. The special teams has let up more points so far than the defense has. So obviously, that's going to be an area that the Riverhawks are going to have to continue to work on because it's been a real problem. And with a guy like Alfano St. John back deep to return, it's going to be very challenging because, again, he's one of the most dynamic athletes on the field.
So now the Susquehanna offense, right when they thought they could get a breather, barring a big return in their own right, they have to go back to work, but they should be feeling confident because 2 drives, 2 trips to the house.
Yeah, the offense has been brilliant so far. The 2 drives were very different, but obviously they were very successful. On the first possession, marching down the field, tiring the Cortland defense out, converting on a 3rd and long in the red zone to Kyle Howes. And then the second possession, which should have been a 3-and-out if not for the penalty, saw a 61-yard touchdown in the very next play by Rashawn Lamons. And similarly to how Susquehanna has to face off against a guy like Jaden Alfano St. John, Cortland's got to be cautious with Rashawn Lamons. They need to keep multiple guys back deep, even on rushing downs, to try to avoid these big splash plays on the ground.
Loga gets the kick away, and it'll be fielded at the 6-yard line by Hunter Morgenroth. Morgenroth runs right into a mass of bodies down at the 26-yard lines and a pile-up after the fact. There is some tension between these two teams. It looks like there's a flag down as well, but you can tell emotions are high here early on.
Absolutely, and it's understandably why. Obviously, with Cortland's season last year, they feel like there's a chip on their shoulder with this game, especially considering how close the matchup was a season ago.
The penalty is on Cortland. Looks like for an offside, so they'll start at the 31-yard line. Again, solid field position for Susquehanna, and we'll see what this offense can do on their 3rd crack with the ball.
Portland's been a little sloppy with the penalties so far. Obviously, the kick return touchdown gives them some momentum. It feels like they don't have to dig out of the large hole. But if the Riverhawks can get something going here on offense again, score for a 3rd time, make it a 2-score lead once more, the momentum will be right back fully on their side.
3 receivers wide and Lamons in the backfield. Ehrlich's going to throw on 1st down, and he's got to roll out. He's going to take off, gets a respectable gain, gets a shove on the sidelines, but no hard hit delivered, and it looks like they'll let it play 2nd down.
Yeah, I think the officials made the right call. That's not a flag. He hit him a little bit late, but it wasn't a hard enough hit to really justify the personal foul 15-yard penalty. Ehrlich rolled right early on that play, and the right side of the offensive line wasn't able to hold their block. So because of that, Ehrlich doesn't really have time and space to figure out what he's going to do. Instead, he just has to go to the right side. Ends up getting a decent gain of around 4 or 5.
Now at the 36 as Kyle Howes goes into motion. Howes has already delivered in a big way, but this time they go back to Lamons on the ground. Not a whole lot there this time, maybe a yard or 2. And now another 3rd down coming up for this Cortland defense who needs a stop.
Yeah, and I think Cortland has had really good production on both sides on the edge against these 2 tackles. And obviously the Riverhawks have 2 really good tackles with Hunter Shimko on the right side, Nick Gonzalez on the left side. But the Riverhawks haven't been able to get plays to the outside, whether it's been on the ground or Ehrlich rolling out looking to pass.
Another pivotal 3rd down coming up. Susquehanna looking to keep this drive going. Lamons goes out in motion. Ehrlich Delayed quarterback draw. He's going to take off. He's got the first down at the 43.
That was a really well-executed play there by the Riverhawks. Ehrlich sees that Cortland's mostly in man coverage. He finds space up the middle. Cortland did not have a lot of guys in the box, and they didn't have a lot of guys deep. I'm a little bit surprised the Riverhawks didn't look for the big play there with only one safety back, but with nobody in the box, Ehrlich has space. He's able to run for the first down, and once again, the chains move.
Ehrlich's going to throw. That one just out of the reach of his intended target, Morgenroth. He was open, just too high and too far wide. 2nd and 10.
I think, interestingly, the Riverhawks haven't looked to stretch the field in the passing game. That's been big for them over these first 2 weeks. It seems like they're just trying to ease their way into the game. Right now, I think the playbook is on training wheels in a sense. I think they're going to open things up as this game goes along, but so far they haven't looked for the home run in the passing game.
One thing that has been notable, and I'm sure you picked up on it as well, they are targeting number 7, John Lubin, a lot in the passing game. Kyle Howell's got him on a couple big plays on the first drive, and they go after him again there. This time, Lamond's on the handoff, a crowded backfield, and he gets maybe 2 yards out of it. Much better job defending the run this time by the Cortland defense.
That could have been worse, though, because as Lamond's got the ball, he was right behind one of his offensive linemen. He does a good job of getting out of the way. He's able to get a couple yards. But now on 3rd and 8, I think the Riverhawks are going to have to open up the playbook a little bit. I definitely expect a pass here, but the question is, are they going to look to try to go short, get something after the catch with likely Rashawn Lamons, or are they going to stretch the field? They've got 3 receivers here to the right. Looks like Cortland's got a few guys deep, so they're prepared for Ehrlich to look 5+ yards down the field.
Ehrlich will throw, has a very clean pocket, but there's nobody open. He finds Lamons, and he cuts inside. Here he goes again. Tries to break outside, still on his feet, carrying guys with him, down to the 10-yard line.
I don't know how defenses are able to stop this kid. He is unbelievable, and he does it again. Ehrlich sees the great coverage to the right side, which is where he initially looks. He does a good job of getting away from pressure. Lamont creates space, and once he's in space, you're not catching up to him. Does a great job there of following his blocks. And again, obviously, his athleticism, his speed is special, but his awareness, his IQ, his ability to find rushing lanes is what makes him so good.
And another tough break for this Cortland defense. Now 1st and goal at the 10-yard line for the Riverhawks. A chance to get the lead back up to 2 scores. They hand it off to Grabowski this time, and he gets maybe a yard. And a great tackle made by Jack Winey, again, number 33.
As we saw in the Riverhawks' first trip in the red zone, they looked to run the ball early, eventually going with the pass on 3rd down, and I expect them to do that again. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to the run here on 2nd down. They didn't get much there on 1st down, but again, getting Tommy Grabowski in a groove, I think is going to be a key for them.
He saw some action on that first touchdown drive as Lamond's on the sidelines catching his breath after a long play such as that. Now under 2 minutes here in the first quarter, with 4 receivers wide, and it's a pass play for Ehrlich. Fires down the middle. Caught! Touchdown Riverhawks! It's Chris Buchter from 9 yards out. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns.
That was a really good throw by Ehrlich. He has to thread the needle perfectly there, but he recognizes that the defensive back is facing the other way. If you're covering a guy like Chris Buchter, you've got to be somewhat facing the ball. He was too focused on playing the receiver and didn't expect Ehrlich to target him. I've been a little bit confused with the defensive play calling in the red zone for Cortland because, again, they haven't had many safeties back. They've been really trying to run a lot of man. But on that time, Ehrlich is able to get separation, and Ehrlich sees that the defensive back is not facing him, so he's not going to expect the ball to come near them.
Colasurdo, PAT away from getting this back up to a 2-touchdown lead, and he delivers 21-7. Fireworks on both sides, and there's still 1:33 to go. In the first quarter alone, this game thus far has lived up to its billing, but by far the biggest stars of the show has been Rashawn Lamons in this Riverhawk offense. Again, perfect. On every drive, they've gotten 7 out of it.
And it's impressive because this Cortland defense has been unreal so far this year. They've allowed maybe 100 yards per game. They've allowed 7 points, and they've only allowed 7 first downs. Don't tell that to Susquehanna, though, because their offense is moving. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. That possession was a little mix at the first and the second drive where they were able to keep possession for a while. They were able to get some solid chunk plays, but they also had the home run from LaShawn Lamons on that 3rd down. The Riverhawks have been so good today on 3rd down. That's been the key for them on offense, and maybe the biggest reason why that they're up by 2 scores.
And now it's going to be interesting to see Cortland's offense coming back out onto the field, assuming there isn't any other special teams magic. But they've been sitting on the sidelines for a long time. Susquehanna killing the time of possession battle. And we'll see how they go about this situation with Alphano St. John already having burned them today. And this Cortland defense, they give up an average of 180 total yards per game. Susquehanna well on the way to blowing that out of the water as the kickoff gets away. And it's to Alphano St. John. They're going to challenge him again. We'll see if they contain better. And they do. He doesn't even get to the 20, down at the 18-yard line.
Great response there by the special teams, and now we get to the most pivotal drive of the game so far for the Cortland offense. They've only had 5 offensive plays so far for 15 yards. Time of possession is at around 2 minutes. We have not gotten to see this offense yet today. We have not really gotten to see Zach Boyes. The last time he was on the field, he nearly threw a pick 6, and that was a while ago in the first quarter. So he's had a lot of time to digest that play, figure out what went wrong. And as I mentioned before, the last kick return touchdown by Alphano St. John, I think they're going to look for a big pass within the first 2 plays of this next possession.
We'll see what they do here. They choose to keep it on the ground with Gallo, and Gallo gets a good run out of it. See where they spot him. It looks like he got enough for the first down.
Gallo on the carry.
That's another thing you mentioned, Alex. 2 minutes and 16 seconds of time of possession to Susquehanna's 11 minutes and 11 seconds, and by far blowing them out in terms of total yardage. So they do give them the first down, the chain gang. Yet to move, they do so now. But so far early on, it's been really Portland's running game that's been in their limited sample size as an offense. So a fresh set of downs and 4 receivers wide. Boyes finds his guy on the far sidelines. It was caught for around 6 yards. And it is Jason Ziva again.
So far, the Riverhawks defense has been able to take Jaden Alphano St. John out of the game. He had the kick return touchdown, but otherwise on offense, he hasn't gotten any looks yet. The defense has done a great job with him in coverage. We'll see if they can keep it going, because once he gets into a rhythm, he's one of the toughest players to guard in the nation, as you can see lined in the slot towards the right side. Wonder if Boyes is going to look his way here.
They keep it on the ground with Gallo. Gallo bringing guys ahead. It's enough for the first down at the 41-yard line. And from there, that should bring us to the end of the first quarter. But what an exciting one it was.
I don't think you could have asked for much better of a start for the Riverhawks, minus the play on special teams. The defenses look really good. The offense, with a very large sample size, 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. We've seen strong runs. We've seen strong passes. We've seen multiple big plays from Rashawn Lamons. I said the key for this team was to set the tone, and they have absolutely done that. You still got to play well these next 45 minutes against the second-ranked team in the nation and the defending national champs. It's not going to be easy, but so far, they're passing the test.
Portland's got the ball, and they are putting together a promising drive here to start. Can Susquehanna hold, or can Cortland get this back to a 1-score game? We'll find that out after the break. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Start of the second quarter, Boyes handing it off. Another run play for the Red Dragons, but this one's not going for a whole lot. 2 yards on the carry by Tyson Taylor, number 28.
Much of Cortland's success running the ball so far has been on these inside runs. This time they try to go to the outside, and it does not work. The Riverhawks quickly there, prepared for the play. Now it's 2nd and 8. I'm still waiting to see them open up the playbook and look to throw the ball 10-plus yards downfield. So far, it hasn't happened yet. Certainly something I really didn't see coming.
Still plenty of time for this offensive firepower to shine through as Boys fires down the middle. That ball is incomplete. No flags, a lot of contact, but Stephen Williams III breaks that ball up, intended for Joey Muscarella, number 86, and it's another 3rd and long coming up for the Red Dragons.
That might be the first time Boys has thrown it past the first down marker, and I think it was a really good pass, but smothering physical coverage by Stephen Williams III, and I think his IQ there really showed because he knew when to make contact with the receiver to avoid the flag, but still make the play on the ball.
Ziva goes in motion, Carter calling it out. 3rd and long for the Red Dragons. Boys, nowhere to go. He goes down for a sack. The Riverhawk defense comes through in a big way, and the Red Dragons will punt, and there's some frustration coming from that sideline.
Yeah, look at number 0, Jake Schultes, who's been flying around the field so far today. He's been quietly really solid, anchoring the run defense, and now he's in there for the sack. This defense looks awesome so far against one of the most explosive offenses at the Division III level. This Cortland team looks nothing like they did over the first 2 weeks of the year. This is a far cry for them.
A very low snap on the punt, but able to get it away. Lamons and Howes both coming in on it. Howes fair catches it at the 34-yard line, but another player to shout out on that sack, Galen Lemontor, the sophomore defensive end, hasn't seen a lot of time on the field, but he teams up with Schultes to get that sack, and the Riverhawk offense looking to make it 4 for 4 here on this next drive.
If they can score here, even a field goal, that makes it a 3-possession lead in the first half. I don't think Cortland saw this coming at all. Obviously, in the game last year, the Riverhawks were down 2 scores late. They were able to win. So these two teams know that once somebody gets hot, things can change quickly. But the Riverhawks, their offense has been perfect today. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. If they get another one here, they're going to be feeling really good.
Lamons in motion, and Ehrlich finds him on this play. A screen and a burst up the middle. Lamons gets away past midfield and shoved out of bounds at around the 44-yard line. Lamons having an excellent game here to start.
Yeah, Lamons in open space. Again, how are you supposed to stop him? I'm a little bit surprised they don't run more screens with him, because if he's in the open field and you have blockers for him, that's a free 15, 20 yards at least, if not more, pretty much every time.
Susquehanna dominating time of possession. They did so in the contest last year. They held the ball for 37 minutes and 51 seconds in Cortland's building last year. And a handoff goes to Kyle Howes here on this play. Howes trying to find some open space. He gets around 3 yards down at the 40 and loses his helmet.
Howes on the carry.
They'll bring up 2nd and 7.
The Riverhawks ran that same play last week with Kyle Howes, resulted in a touchdown on the end around. This time, not so much. Cortland must have watched the film. They must have recognized that that play is certainly in the realm of possibility, and they recognized it immediately, forcing just a gain of around 2 or 3.
They keep it on the ground with Lamons. Lamons very minimal, this time a gain of 2. So they'll make it 3rd and 5. Cortland much more committed to stopping the run here on previous possessions, but it was Matt Ferrer, number 98, there to make the tackle.
Yeah, Ferrer does a good job of getting off his block early, not letting Lamons get any space. And the Riverhawks are in 4-down territory. It's not field goal range. They're also not really in punting range. So if they get a few yards here and it's close, I would 100% expect the offense to stay on the field on 4th down.
You got Cortland in a tough spot, trying to make it even tougher. Ehrlich looking for Howes, and it's broken up, incomplete. An excellent play by Anthony Luciano, number 13, to break up that ball and bring up 4th down.
Yeah, Luciano does a great job there, playing the receiver nicely, and unsurprisingly, the offense stays on the field. No Rashawn Lamons, and it looks like it'll be Tommy Grabowski at running back. But I'm not surprised to see them go for it. If this team is considering going for it at their own 30, obviously they're going to go for it past the 40 on the opposing side of the field.
Cortland can undo some damage here. They do snap it, and Ehrlich looks to throw, fires down the middle, finds his guy. It's Morganroth, and he's down at the 21-yard line, and you can move those chains. Another great play for the Riverhawks.
I'm not really sure why Cortland was in off coverage here, because there's so much space towards the middle of the field for Morganroth to make the catch. Got a nice gain after the fact as well to the 21. The Riverhawks are nearing the red zone, where they've been successful in each of their first 2 trips so far.
Ehrlich will throw again. He's going to roll out this time, but contained very well He's got to throw it away. That's Nick Lardano, number 95, able to force pressure and force a throwaway, but no intentional grounding.
Yeah, again, I think the one bright spot for the Cortland defense has been their production on the edges. And again, Ladaro's able to send pressure. Ehrlich is not going to be able to outrun him to the side because Ladaro has enough space in front of him to be able to catch up pretty quickly. So he's going to have to throw it away once more, and that'll make it a 2nd and 10.
We'll see if they go back to the ground here. Susquehanna has made a really good effort of doing so here early on. 3 receivers wide, and Grabowski in the backfield, and he gets the ball. Not a whole lot there, maybe 2 or 3 yards. Joe Ruggieri, number 50, making the tackle. He had a lot of help with him, and Susquehanna in a 3rd and long, maybe their first of the entire game.
Yeah, and I'm curious what they're going to do here. I feel like if they are considering going for it, I would expect a run. If they're not planning on going for it, I would expect a pass. So I think this play call is going to be very telling for what they choose to do on 4th down. I think they're in Colasordo's range, but you're still at around the 20. It would be a fairly long kick, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking to go for it. And if that's the case, I think they're going to run the ball.
Max Llewellyn helping him make the tackle on that play. 3rd and 8, Ehrlich down the middle, but too high, intended for Rowan Hershey. He was open, and really, Josh Ehrlich's first off-target throw of the entire day.
Yeah, that was a good route there by Hershey. I think the plan was, if you don't get it, take the points. As I expected, if they're going to throw the ball and it doesn't work, I think they're going to look to kick, and that's exactly what they're going to do here on 4th down. This is a big kick as well. If you can make it a 3-score lead, that would be huge.
It'll be 36 yards for Colasordo. He nailed it from 39 against Brockport last week. And as you said, this is pivotal. It can be a 3-score lead here if he can cash in. Hold good, snap away, kick up, kick is good. Colasordo stays perfect on the season with 10:50 to go in the second. 24-7 Riverhawks.
It's nice having a reliable kicker like Christian Colasordo, one of the better kickers at the Division III level, without a doubt. 24-7, you're up by 3 scores. The offense has let up, or the defense has let up, 2 first downs so far? It's been really strong so far on the defensive side of the ball, and this is a must-score possession for Cortland. You cannot give the Riverhawks the ball back down by 3 scores. You got to get something. Even if it's a field goal, you just need something on offense. So this is a very pivotal drive for the Red Dragons, and if they don't get anything here, this game could get out of hand for them a lot earlier than anybody could have seen coming.
The number 2 ranked team in the nation getting punched in the mouth. But if there's one thing you understand, never underestimate the heart of a champion in these situations. Alphonso St. John again back deep along with Dawes Jr. Borges outside of the 1 to kick off out of bounds. As able to find his footing. We'll see if Alphonso St. John can give him a good return. And the vibes are all good around Doug Arthur Stadium. Not a single Riverhawk fan is silent. And over there on the Cortland bleachers, they are stunned and confused as the kickoff gets away. Alphonso St. John a yard or so out of the end zone will take it out. He's able to cut outside. Here he goes again. This time he can't bring it all the way, but still a great return. There is a flag on the field, so we'll see if it comes back or not. But Alphonso St. John again doing some nice work on special teams. Typically in this situation, it goes against the return team, and it will be. So push them back 10 or so more yards, and that kind of undoes the big return.
Yeah, again, as we talked about earlier, the penalties have been kind of an issue thus far for Cortland. Another one here negates their big return. They'll still start with solid field position past the 20 at the 22, so it's not like they're inside the 10 or anything, but it would have been a lot nicer starting past the 30, and now they're going to have a lot more room that they're going to have to work with.
Boys has been kept quiet, but he is a big play machine waiting to happen. We'll see if he can get him going on this drive. He fires down the middle on that one, and just enough for the first down, it looks like. It's Ziva making the catch.
Ziva's been the go-to guy so far, and that was a really nice throw there by Boyes. He didn't waste time. He found space up the middle. There was 3 Riverhawk defenders in the area, but Zach Boyes trusts his ability to make that throw with pinpoint accuracy, and he does for a solid game. That's what this Cortland offense needs. Chunk plays in the passing game. They got to get Zach Boyes rolling.
What better way to get started than on that play? Now a handoff this time for Gallo. Gallo gets a nice gain out of it, around 8 yards or so before being brought down by Josh Parson and Brandon Shipley.
And the key for the Cortland offense is just going to be getting comfortable, consistently getting good plays on the ground, which they have been able to for the most part. Gallo's looked pretty good, but also making plays in the passing game. The Riverhawk coverage has certainly answered the billing here through the first 20 minutes. We'll see if they can keep it going.
2nd and 2, that ball caught a bit high, but nice play made and tackled it around the 44 is Joey Muscarella.
It looked like the Riverhawks were running a zone there, and it looked like LaTrey Bond, who's really good so far in this game, lost his footing there in coverage. Good play after the catch, and Cortland finally has it past the 50. Their offense looks much more comfortable so far in this possession than they have throughout the game, with some solid plays up to this point.
First time in a while they've made it to Susquehanna territory. Spotted at the 45-yard line, 3 receivers wide, Gallo behind Boyes. And Gallo will get it on this play, and another respectable gain of around 8 yards or so. And Stephen Williams III losing his helmet well away from the play.
Number 7 of the defense lost his helmet. He must lose the game for 1 play.
And that just shows a lot of helmets flying. Both of these sides are very physical, and it's been chippy early on.
Yeah, and I think Cortland's starting to recognize here that getting these consistent 5, 6, 7-yard plays might be their key to winning. It's not how they've done it throughout the entirety of the last season. It's not how their offense executed against Susquehanna a season ago, but they have not been able to get any splash plays. This might be how they have to run their offense today.
They go to Gallo again. He is able to pick up the first down, brings a couple Riverhawks with him. Ryan Layton among the many able to bring him down. But again, a very strong drive keeps chugging on for the Red Dragons.
And again, it's just about getting these solid, consistent gains. Try to wear this defense down. Once you're in the red zone, this defense is going to be out of gas. I think that's what Cortland has to continue to do. I really thought it was going to be about the big plays early in this game, but as we've seen, the Riverhawks have not let up anything down the field. So Cortland's recognizing this, and they are adapting.
Boyes in an empty backfield now. And he's going to throw a quick play, but it's dropped. They go after Bond on that one. But unable to bring it in is Andrew Tarpey, number 10. It hit him right in the chest.
Yeah, you got to make that catch. That was a perfect throw from Boyes. And again, they're looking for the short passes. Had he caught it, it would have been a gain of around 5 or 6 yards, assuming Bond was able to bring him down. So once more, they're not looking down the field. They're really not having Boyes scramble on this drive much. It's snap it. Who's open 5 yards down the field? They're looking short, and it has worked.
We'll see if they go back to the ground here. Gallo's been gashing the Riverhawk front on this possession. Instead, they hand it off to Boyes. Buck trying to stay with him and gets a shoestring tackle on him for a minimal gain of around 3 yards.
Yeah, it looked like they kind of tried to run an option there, but the defense reads it perfectly. Great job there by Josh Buck to follow him the entire way. And even as Boyes is running sideways, he's not going to be able to get much because Josh Buck stays with him stride for stride the entire way. He gets maybe a yard or two, but not much.
The flags are waving, feet are stomping, and the bells are ringing. It's 3rd down and 8. And a lot of movement up front. But it looks like this time it's going to go against Susquehanna, and it'll make the situation much cleaner for the Red Dragons if that appears to be the case. Portland's very confident it's on Susquehanna, and it is. So 3rd and 8 becomes 3rd and 3.
Yeah, there was a lot of movement there on the left side of the defensive line, and now Cortland has the Riverhawks where they want them here in a 3rd and 3. It's a lot more easier for them. They can run the ball here or look short, and if they don't get it, they can theoretically go forward on 4th down. 3rd and 8 would have made it a lot challenging because if they don't get much or the pass is incomplete, it's 4th and 8. It'd be a long field goal. I'm not quite sure that's in their range, but it'd also be a big conversion. So that's a really big penalty, and we'll see if the Red Dragons take advantage.
3 receivers to the right of Boyes. And he's got to take it himself, but Tripty gives him nothing to work with. He loses yardage, and it makes it 4th down. You have to imagine this is 4th down territory regardless, because Mike Beloga, their kicker, He's perfect on PATs, but 0 of 2 on field goal attempts this season, and they're too far away to even do that.
Yeah, I think this is the right call for them to go for it. But first, we've got to talk about Jake Schultes. Again, he's been one of the best players on the field today. He has been a wrecking crew up front, and now it's 4th and 5. If Cortland doesn't get this, they could be in big trouble. They've got to convert here. I think you put this in the hands of your quarterback and trust him to make the throw. I don't think they're running it.
It's do or die as Boys finds his guy, Ziva. It was do or die, and the Red Dragons choose to do it there. They're in the red zone, down at the 13.
Yeah, I think that was the perfect play call. When you have a quarterback like Zach Boys, who's really good, really consistent, obviously led this team to a championship a season ago, you have to trust him on 4th down. I think they made the right call there. Look for something short, intermediate route, gets a solid gain, and now they're in the red zone with an opportunity to make it a 2-score deficit.
A sigh of relief on the sidelines of the Red Dragons as Gallo gets the ball, and it's a very good run, close to the 5, but it looks like he's 2 yards short of the 1st down, so they spot him at the 6.
Oh, still a good run there by Gallo, trucking one of the defenders early. He's a big, compact running back, 5'11", 220. He is physical, he is strong, and he's been really solid throughout the entirety of this game. One of the only consistent players for the Red Dragon offense throughout this entire afternoon so far.
Ziva's also chipped in with some timely catches, but they're going to keep it on the ground. Boys fakes out the defense, and he brings it in. He might have lost the ball. There's a mad scramble for it, but the officials do signal touchdown. It looked like Boys did cross the line. Officials say it is a touchdown, so Boys gashes the Riverhawk defense on the ground to get it a PAT away from a 10-point game.
It didn't look like the Riverhawks were prepared for the QB run at all. They bit on the option, and Boys has all that space. Even though he lost control of the ball, it was clear he was past the end zone. Big drive here for Cortland. They still have a lot of work to do down by 10, but their offense needed to get something going, and they finally do.
Beloga connected on his first PAT, and there's some movement up front we'll see this time. But it looks like they might have gotten Susquehanna again on an offsides, and they do. So this is against Jake Schultes, and it's decision time for Cortland, but it looks like they will keep Beloga out there for the PAT. They will not go for 2 here.
I think their likelihood of getting the 2-point conversion would be pretty high, considering the amount of successful runs for Gallo. He hasn't been tackled much behind the line of scrimmage, but I still think this is the right call. You don't want to give the defense any momentum after such a great drive, so I think just taking the 1 here is the right decision.
He knocks it through, 24-14, 5:13 to go in the half. And for the Riverhawks, this is an interesting spot to be in, because clearly you got all the time in the world and 3 timeouts, but at the same time, Cortland gets the ball to start the second half, so you kind of, in an ideal world, want to drain this clock down as much as you can and punch it in to get it back up to 17 and really not give Cortland a chance to respond.
Yeah, I think managing this clock is going to be huge, considering Cortland does start with the ball in the second half. If the Riverhawks get stopped here and Cortland's able to make it a 1-score game, they would have all the momentum going into half. They'll start with the ball in the 3rd quarter. So this is a gigantic 5 minutes here for Susquehanna. Their offense has been electric. 24 points on 4 possessions. They've really given you anything you could have asked of them, but they've got to do it again here, because we know if this Cortland offense turns on, they're going to be really hard to stop. So the Riverhawks got to get a really strong drive here. Obviously, you want to score, but you also want to take 3 or 4 minutes off. Obviously, you'll take a home run play if you get it, but ideally, you take 3 or 4 minutes at least off the clock and don't give Cortland much of an opportunity to drive down the field before half.
Beloga approaches the ball, kicks it off. Morgenroth again back deep with Lamons and Sean Kane, and it will be Morgenroth fielding it around the 1-yard line. Cuts inside, gets a very respectable return out of it, down to around the 27. So 5:06 now and 3 timeouts for the offense to go to work.
Let's see what the offense can do here. The passing game's been solid, the run game has been solid, but I will say, as I've mentioned, Cortland's pass rush has been quite good so far. Josh Ehrlich has not been able to get much of anything on the ground. 3 carries for 4 yards. Obviously, that does include the 1 sack, but Cortland's been able to contain him. Ehrlich has been so good as a scrambler so far this season, but Cortland's been prepared for that. They've had guys near the box ready for him to run, and they've been able to send consistent pressure. Now, the Riverhawks have been able to respond great. They've shown that they don't need Ehrlich to get active in the run game for the offense to still be efficient and successful.
They hand it to Lamons on first down. We got a mass of bodies pushing forward, and it pushes him to around the 34-yard line and a gain of 5.
That was a good play there for the Riverhawks. It looked like Lamons was only going to get 2 yards there, but again, he's a strong physical runner, and the offensive line does a good job of pushing the pile forward, turning a gain of probably 2, maybe 3, into a strong gain of around 5.
Susquehanna using as much time as they want, approaching 4.5 minutes. In a manageable down. Another handoff to Lamons. This time, not a lot there. No gain, and a great play made by number 95, Lick Lardero.
And that brings us to a pivotal 3rd down and 5. I wouldn't hate the idea of going back to the ground. It didn't work there on 2nd down, but when you have a guy like Rashawn Lamons, don't be afraid to give him the ball. Obviously, a pass certainly within the realm of possibility, but it looks like Cortland is prepared for the run, stacking the box heavily. They do have 2 safeties back deep as well, looking to avoid the big play. I'm curious to see what's dialed up here for the offense on 3rd down.
Buchter, Howes, and Morgenroth the receivers, and Lamons the running back. Ehrlich in a clean pocket. Another screen to Rashawn Lamons. He's got a hustle. He wins that hustle, and the chains will move.
They didn't run the ball, but it's not entirely dissimilar to a run because he gives it to Lamons behind the line of scrimmage. And again, when he's in space, there's pretty much no defense at the Division III level who's able to keep up with him athletically. Another great play there by Lamons. And as I mentioned, I feel like they've got to consistently look for him in the underneath passing game because it's been so efficient throughout the year.
So there is a penalty after the fact. It's against Rashawn Lamons for unsportsmanlike conduct, which is a brutal play for Susquehanna as they were getting close, getting another promising scoring drive out. It looks like they'll keep the 1st down, but they're going backwards. They're now at the 26.
Yeah, I think the bigger deal here is that they still have the 1st down. They still have it on offense. They still reset the chains. Obviously, you got to avoid the extracurricular after the play, but I don't think that's worst case scenario because now this gives the Riverhawks more field to drive across, meaning they can take more time off the clock. And given how good this offense has been, there's no reason to think this won't be another successful drive. So to be honest, I don't think the penalty's that big of a deal.
It all won't matter in the end if they can punch it in for another touchdown. But Ehrlich in an empty backfield with 5 available receivers. This time a screen for Morgenroth, and it's read very well. A gain of around 3 yards or so before being tackled by Rashawn Powell, number 99.
Yeah, the Cortland defense does a good job there of recognizing the screen. I think Cortland's got to continue to have guys prepared, not just for Ehrlich scrambles, but also these screen plays because the Riverhawks have been really successful with them throughout this game. Obviously, you still got to be prepared for stuff 10, 15-plus yards down the field. You've got to have a few safeties back, but also have a lot of guys underneath because the Riverhawks have been very successful in terms of looking short.
Another empty backfield again. Ehrlich wanted a quick throw, but now it's to fire down the middle, and he finds Morgenroth, and that'll move the chains this time, and Morgenroth gets in the face of Jaden Martinez, number 23, before being yanked away. And there's a lot of emotion going on with the half coming to a close.
I like that play from the Riverhawks. They had a few guys stretching the field vertically as sort of decoys in a sense. I don't think Ehrlich was looking deep, and even if he was, it was great coverage. So because of that, with more emphasis from the defense, 10, 15, 20-plus yards down the field, there's space up the middle, and Morgenroth makes a nice play for the 1st down.
They keep it in the air. This time a quick screen to Lamons. He drops it, gets blown up right away. By number 51, Max Llewellyn. But in a way, Lamons was going to lose yardage, so instead 2nd and 10, and it stops the clock.
Yeah, it was probably for the better that he couldn't hang on there. Again, the pressure off the edges has been too much for these Riverhawk offensive tackles to contain. Ehrlich didn't have time to run the ball. He didn't have time to go through his progressions. He had to go short, ultimately resulting in the incompletion.
Now a standard run to Lamons, but maybe a yard if he's lucky. And for Susquehanna, you think they're just going to let this run down to the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, I think they've managed the clock well, maybe a little bit too well. They haven't moved that far down the field, but they've taken 3 minutes off of the clock. So even though the offense hasn't been able to get too many big plays on this drive, and the one time they did, it was called back on the penalty, they've still done a good job of taking as much time off the clock as possible. And if they do get a first down here outside of the 2-minute timeout, they'll be able to control clock for the rest of the first half, and Cortland's most likely not going to get the ball back with much of any time. So this is a pivotal third down. Cortland needs to stop. If they get it, they'll have plenty of time on offense. They can make it a one-score game. And again, they start with the ball in the second half.
Their offense found their footing on their last drive, but Susquehanna trying to do anything they can to keep this drive going and keep this lead intact. Because as we said, with Cortland getting the ball to start the second half, you don't want to give them a chance to try to double up to end this half and open up the next. So what does Susquehanna run here to try to keep the chains moving?
I think they're going to throw the ball here. I think you need to have Rashawn LeBons open in the underneath area, which means you're going to need to have receivers ready to block. They're also hopefully going to have one or two guys stretching the field, maybe somebody like Kyle Howes. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them go short, look for something after the catch, have a few short passing patterns to where if Ehrlich does look for some of these receivers, say Morgan Roth or Buchner or Hershey, that they'll be able to get a solid game, but that they're also ready to block. The three of them are lined up on the right side. Ehrlich is on the left, or not Ehrlich, Howes. So I think this is kind of perfect. Have Lamont potentially open underneath, and those three guys ready to block if necessary, while also having Kyle Howes on an island in one-on-one coverage.
4 receivers wide, 3rd and 9. Ehrlich. Pocket begins to collapse. He's surveying, stays alive. He's going to run, but nothing there. Excellent defense by Cortland, and you'd imagine the punt team is coming out.
Yeah, I don't think you get cute here. I think you've got to punt it, and it looks like that's what they're going to do. Big stop there for Cortland. The defense finally doesn't let up points, and now the offense is going to get it back with plenty of time. Minute 51, 2 timeouts. The offense is going to need a little bit of a sense of urgency, though. We haven't seen them been able to get big plays. That's going to be out of their element, at least for how it's been today. But we know throughout the season, throughout last season, that Cortland has the ability to get the home run play. This is their game. It just hasn't worked today, but it's going to need to work on this drive.
Good snap, and the punt gets away. Ravi Das Jr. calls fair catch. Snags it at around the 17, so 1 minute, 45 seconds, and 2 timeouts to work with for Zach Boys and company.
I think they've got to get Jaden Alfano St. John involved. He has not touched the ball on offense. He had the kick return touchdown, so he's still been able to make his mark today, but he hasn't gotten it on offense. The Riverhawks have done such a good job of shutting him down, and the reason why Cortland was so dangerous last year was because they had 3 All-American playmakers. 2 of those guys are in the NFL now. Alfano St. John has been the lone alpha, and the Riverhawks have taken him out of this game, essentially. So these other playmakers are going to have to step up.
First play is key here with 4 receivers wide. Boys will throw. Layton gets into the backfield, but Boys breaks away. And he slides and takes a big hit. That'll draw a penalty after the fact. Riverhawks unhappy about it, but you have to imagine with a hit like that on the slide by Boys, that the flag is coming out every time in that situation.
Yeah, you got to call the flag there. It was a clear helmet to helmet, and Cortland's going to get a big gain out of it.
The officials discussing it, but Drew Robinson, he can't believe it. Neither can the rest of the defense. Josh Parson clearly frustrated. And we'll see what the ruling is. Portland felt very strong about how it should be a penalty. It will go against Parson, and 15 free yards for the Red Dragons. They're now at the 40 with 1:37 to go in the first half.
Yeah, this really changes everything for them on this drive with the timeouts and with the field position. Now, they don't feel like they have to go for the big play. They can get these consistent chunk gains on the ground. They can look short towards the sideline in the passing game, which is how they were successful on the last drive.
Dallow playing very well this first half. Had a couple of big runs. Had a trifecta of touchdowns in the Lyco game last week, with 73 rushing yards to go along with it. But another pass here for Boys. Boys again gets away from the pressure, and with green grass ahead, he's going to take off. He gets out of bounds just shy of midfield at the 49.
That was a good run there for Boys. I like how the Riverhawks are using Josh Parson. They're kind of keeping him as a spy, more so on that last play. This time he was in coverage, but he still had his eye on the quarterback, prepared for the run. And a good play for Cortland. It gets around 9. Boys has had time to scramble. He's been able to make nice plays with his legs. And if the coverage is this good, they're going to continue to do that. With having a big-time athlete like Boyce there under center, it gives this offense a ton of flexibility, as we've seen with Susquehanna throughout the year with a similar player in Josh Early.
Susquehanna rushes three, a long ball intended and caught by Joey Mascarella down close to the 25, so they get the big chunk play they need. They're knocking on the door.
Yeah, that was really good coverage by Ben Mongear. He did everything he could, but with a quarterback like Zach Boyce who can make that type of throw, sometimes there's nothing you can do. A perfect pinpoint pass with Andrew Wells coming in on a head of steam, and Mongear with excellent, sticky man-to-man coverage. But sometimes when you're facing off against a really good quarterback, that's going to happen. Nothing the defense could have done there.
They go on the ground now with Gallo and gets a nice gain of around 20 yards. And again, we see some pushing after the play and away from the play. And I think they're going to get Latrey Bond for a shove on Alfano St. John. Emotion's getting the best of the Riverhawks here. And Cortland really hasn't bled that much time away. There's still over a minute to go, and they haven't used a timeout. The officials meet with several Cortland players, but again, the Riverhawks upset, and they will be flagged. So it's not on Bond. They call it on Drew Robinson. Interesting call indeed, but again, emotion's getting the better of the Riverhawks here, and they'll spot the ball at the 10-yard line for Cortland.
And given some of the penalties that both teams have had after the play, I feel like whichever team is able to stay calm, stay poised, and not let their emotions get the better of them is going to have the better chance of winning this game because you're giving up 3 yardage. Can't do that.
3 receivers wide, Gallo to the right of Boyes. Back to the ground. Shipley trying to bring him down, but Gallo maybe gets a couple extra yards out of it before being tackled down by Brian Layton, number 93.
And now Cortland has an opportunity to really manage the clock here with it in the red zone. They still have these 2 timeouts, but they're not going to have to use them. Let that clock go. Don't let the Riverhawks get the ball before half. They should be able to make it a 1-possession game here, and given how bad that first quarter was, Cortland's going to have the momentum going into halftime, and they will start with the ball in the third quarter. Defense has got to hold here. If you can let up a field goal, then some of that momentum will stay with the Susquehanna side.
Susquehanna holding on to their timeouts as Boyes looks to throw. Rolls out, keeps his eyes downfield, and incomplete, intended for Jason Ziva. He was open in the back of the end zone, but Boyes just couldn't make the throw.
Yeah, the Riverhawk coverage was good there for most of that play, but as you can see, Ziva gets some separation in the back end of the end zone. Boyes just misfires a little bit there. Now it's 3rd down. If you get a few yards here, I'm curious about what the play call is on 4th down. I think they have to kick the field goal unless they're within like 2 yards of the end zone. Making it a 1-score game would be so huge going into halftime. If you're close, obviously you got to go for it, but otherwise, I would expect them to look for the field goal. So the Riverhawk defense gets a stop here on 3rd down. I don't think we'll see the offense back on 4th.
Boyes looks to throw. He's going to run, and he will get in. Touchdown, Cortland. It looked like Boyes was going to be brought down, but he found the seam and used his speed to find the end zone. It's 24-20 with 20 seconds left in the half, and that's 13 unanswered by the defending champs.
Yeah, look at Zach Boyes here, being able to find space, getting into the end zone. Much of Cortland's most successful plays have been on QB scrambles, design passes that turn into runs. The Riverhawks know this all too well because that's a big part of Josh Ehrlich's game, and now they're getting a taste of their own medicine, in a sense. Zach Boyes with another score on the ground, his second, and what once looked like a dominant Susquehanna lead has evaporated. The defending champs with a major response.
The PAT gets away, and it's no good. Alonga Hick flips it wide to the left. So, actually, they gave him the point, it looks like, but they wipe it away. The official said no good, but the scoreboard said yes, so pardon me there. So, it's a 4-point game, 20 seconds remaining. Susquehanna hasn't burned a timeout yet. Do you try to chase at least a field goal here in the final seconds?
In a normal situation, I would say no, but given that the Riverhawks have struggled over the last 6 or 7 minutes, and given that they're playing a team as good as Cortland, I think I would try. Cortland has the momentum right now. They're starting with the ball in the second half, and the fact that you've got all 3 timeouts and multiple big play threats on this offense and special teams with guys like Rashawn Lamont and guys like Kyle Howes, if I was them, I would go for the points here rather than to kneel the clock out. I understand that that's the safe play, and if they were playing pretty much any other team here, even though they are losing the momentum, I think that's what they would do. But when you're playing against a team like Cortland, you have to be a little bit more aggressive, especially when the momentum is no longer on your side.
We'll see how Cortland chooses to kick this ball off. Beloga's given the Riverhawks opportunities for some returns. Hasn't really gotten a big one yet. As he waits, he approaches the ball and kicks it off. At the 4-yard line, it's Morganroth. Morganroth looking for a seam, and he gets to the 30. 15 seconds still left on the clock, and Susquehanna has to be, if they want to chase points, they've got to be very smart here.
Yeah, the door is open for them with this field position, but as you said, they absolutely have to be very smart. The one thing you cannot do is turn the ball over, leading to a possible defensive score. I think if you're the Riverhawks on first down, you look deep, because even if it doesn't work, even if it is a turnover, it's not like Cortland's going to be able to do anything with it. It doesn't look like they're going to try to score. I think that's a mistake. I would go for a shot down the field. I think kneeling it here is the wrong decision.
So what looked like a Susquehanna blowout in the making, the defending champs show some heart and some muscle with 13 unanswered points to make it 24-20 going into the break. Susquehanna holding on to the lead, but for as bad as that start was, as you've alluded to, Alex, Cortland should not be shaken whatsoever by the score right now.
Yeah, it's been a tale of two quarters. Obviously, in that first quarter, the Riverhawks looked brilliant against the defending champs. That was a sight to see, but Cortland's figured it out. They were patient. They've played in big games. They know how to come back from big deficits. They had some very close games in the Division III playoffs last year, so they're not fazed by this, and it showed. Their offense looked a lot more poised, a lot more comfortable in the second quarter. Zach Boyes didn't really look downfield as a passer, but we saw his ability as a scrambler while the Riverhawk offense slowed down. Susquehanna still is the lead. They've still been the better team so far, and they've still looked really impressive. The momentum has quickly shifted towards Cortland, and the Red Dragons do start with the ball in the third quarter with a real shot to take the lead. So that possession for this defense is going to be huge to see if they can get a stop.
Both sides will reassess at the break. And for us, get your popcorn ready, folks. If you've run out of it in the first half, go get more of it. We've got a great game here at Doug Arthur Stadium. We'll see you for the start of the second half here on the Riverhawk Network, presented by Flow Sports. Don't go anywhere. Welcome to another episode of the SU Sports Spotlight. I'm your host, Matt Vargo, and today I'm joined alongside Ava Billmeyer of the women's soccer team. Ava, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So through 7 games thus far in the season, you're the team's leading goal scorer with 4, and that includes 2 in the most recent home game against Marymount, both in the second half to help the team to a much hard-earned win. What does that mean to you to be the team's leading goal scorer this early on in the season?
I feel like it's just a lot of support from the team too. Like, it's not just me, just like being so comfortable with this team already and trusting my players and the team around me. It's really helped me a lot.
And the start of the season wasn't ideal by any means, starting off the year 0-2, but in the last 5 games, you're 3-1-1. So how were you guys able to right the ship after such a tough start?
I just feel like having a rocky start, it just motivated us more. Like, knowing that we are such a talented team, we're a very young team. So just all of us, this is so new for all of us. So just, it helped us. It honestly gave us like the strength and like the willpower to keep moving and just let it go, keep it in the past.
And over the course of this hot streak recently, you guys went up to New York and won the Mayor's Cup Challenge, and you were named to the All-Tournament team and the Offensive MVP. So how special is that to be given that accolade so early on into your collegiate career?
It's pretty special. I was not expecting it at all, but I knew that with the help of my team around me, and as I said, like being comfortable around them, they could help me achieve this goal. I didn't know I was going to get it, but I was pretty happy. It gave me some confidence.
And how do you keep this momentum going with Landmark Conference play coming up so soon, just a little over a week from now?
Yes, we just need to trust our teammates. We need to work hard. We need to work hard on and off the field. We just need to trust each other and keep it going.
Now I want to take it away from the field for these next couple questions, and I want to talk about your decision to come to Susquehanna. What was it that made you want to come here and play for the Riverhawks soccer team?
I went to a soccer camp, and just like the culture of the team, some of the like girls, they were so welcoming, and that was a really important factor in choosing where I want to go. And alongside with the academics here, they're very good.
Excellent. And was there any player or coach that kind of helped you find your way when you first got here on campus?
Obviously, Coach Hoover, he's been so helpful to me. But Chloe Michaels, she's a senior this year. She has been so great to me. She feels like a sister already, just someone I can always lean my head on.
And last question, how are you able to balance school, homework, and a social life, all while being part of the soccer team with a lot of practices and games on the horizon?
I feel like coming in for preseason a week early kind of taught me like scheduling. So just being able to like go to practice, it gives me like I know when the practice is, so it's easy for me to tell like when to do work, when to get stuff done. So I feel like being on the soccer schedule is easier to balance like with my schoolwork on top of it.
All right, and once again, Ava, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, and good luck in your next game here at Sassafras Field against Delaware Valley.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of the SU Sports Spotlight. Thank you guys for watching.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of SU Sports Spotlight. I'm your host Adam Rothschild, and today we're joined by Kennedy Petrovich of the women's golf team. Kennedy, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So this past Sunday you made your Riverhawk debut and earned the Landmark Conference's Women's Golf Player of the Week. How does it feel to have that like recognition, you know, in like your first few matchups here at Susquehanna?
It feels good. I mean, a little bit of pressure going into next week. It's great to, have that kind of recognition right now for our team, especially for the other girls. I want to really make a name for the team, and I think we're doing very well right now.
Yeah, and in this matchup this past weekend against Kings and Marywood, you scored a 74, and you topped the leaderboard with that as well. That scored 4 birdies and 7 pars. And how do you get all this confidence? Where does this come from, just to, out there on the course?
Honestly, I mean, in high school I played the course a couple times, so I was a little familiar with it. And even the coaches put so much confidence into me the week before during practices, and I felt so comfortable going out there and very well prepared.
Yeah, and it's just about, just finding a way to get through a situation like that. So it's awesome that you're able to do that for this team.
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind during the whole process of and when you found out you got a 74 with the score?
I was just really trying to keep my cool. I wanted to play a steady round. Whenever I would get down, I'd try and pick it back up with a birdie, maybe even just steady it out with a par. It felt good. I didn't know really until the last hole I was going to shoot a 74, but I'm looking for bigger and better things this week. So
yeah, I'm sure it's a lot of adrenaline as well.
Yeah.
And it's great to have that, of course. So with you being one of the captains on this team, what have you enjoyed so far about just playing golf here at Susquehanna and being part of such a good team?
honestly, just the entire team. I mean, the coaches, the girls, they already have such a special place in my heart, and I know that we all want to succeed. So it's very easy for me to have that confidence in them because I know they all have confidence in me too.
And with that, of course, you definitely want to have success along the way as well. So what is something you're looking to accomplish here in your first year at Susquehanna? And of course, even if there's anything down the line you're looking to accomplish?
I would love to just build this team up and build our confidence. I want to keep this high as long as we can. Even relationships between me and the girls, I want to make sure that we all feel like a family. And when we go to practice and matches, we all play like a family too.
Yeah, and that's something really important you want to have as well. Just a great, cohesive team, and so far it looks like you all have had that. So to finish this out, who is someone you look up to that really inspires you when you're playing golf?
I mean, my dad really inspires me to just be the best athlete I can. He was an amazing athlete growing up in high school and college, and he's just an even better person now. So I really look up to him, and I know that following in his footsteps is really going to lead me to some big things here.
Yeah, and that's something we all try to do, just follow in each other's footsteps, and that's awesome you have that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me today, and good luck this weekend against your next matchup against Lock Haven.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
Adam Rothschild, and this has been another edition of SU Sports Spotlight.
Life isn't about finding your path. It's about creating it. At Susquehanna University, you can choose a liberal arts experience that prepares you for a promising future. Discover your magic and then change the world. Start the journey of your lifetime at Susquehanna University.
When you're in college, you kind of find out who you are. And throughout your 4 years, you develop yourself with all the different experiences, which leads into dedicating yourself to your community, to your family. So when you're a senior, you're coming out a well-rounded person.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests outside of the classroom and outside of the court or field. I've had the ability to get into different activities and organizations, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
Getting to be involved in a lot of different things
ranging from obviously being a student athlete to getting involved with my campus and my community, and not only being allowed to do that, but being encouraged to do that.
The opportunity to be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, to have the professors know me on a personal level, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference. It really helps you develop thinking from other people's perspectives and looking at problems from outside the box.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
I've definitely learned how to really be myself. I found out, yes, I am actually a good leader, and yes, I can actually put myself forward because I am good enough. I can do it.
Coming in to college, I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of different career goals, and I've learned so much about myself that I was always like growing and changing.
When I got to college, it forced me to step up and become more of a leader, and I think that was something I had the capability of doing, and forever grateful that being at a Division III school gave me that opportunity.
You have to dedicate your time in the classroom, you have to dedicate your time in the gym, on the field, on the court.
Our coaches and the entirety of the athletic department, they valued the student athlete going out to community and trying something new and getting involved in campus life.
You can get involved in so many different things. So the possibilities are truly limitless for what you can do with your college experience. You can kind of make it your own in the Division III setting. So I would encourage people who want to have flexibility to pursue different interests and passions to go D3.
Mike Betts.
Fans, as we get ready to start the second half of play, it's time to take a look at the winning number for this afternoon's 50-50 raffle for the women's lacrosse team. The winning ticket is red. It is 267003, a red ticket, 267003. Your half matches this one. Come on up to the press box. We have your winnings.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Doug Arthur Stadium on the campus of Susquehanna University and the Riverhawk Network presented by Flow Sports. I'm Matt Vargo along with Alex Weldy. About a minute to go till the start of the second half here between the highly anticipated rematch between the Susquehanna University Riverhawks and the SUNY Cortland Red Dragons. Alex, Susquehanna had this game early on, 24-7. It looked like they could maybe blow this away if the cards fell right, but Cortland is showing resilience. 13 unanswered points to close out the half. They start off with possession and just needing a touchdown to take the lead. What has been so impressive for both sides about that first half?
So as we look at the first quarter, pretty much everything that could have went well for the Riverhawks did. Not so much the kick return on special teams, but the offense was brilliant. 3 drives and 3 touchdowns. We saw the big plays from Rashawn Lamont. We saw consistent plays on the ground. Josh Ehrlich making all the throws he needed to. Cortland has taken his rushing ability out of the game. They've sent a lot of pressure off the edge. They've had linebackers who have been used as spies to keep their eye on him, and Ehrlich hasn't really been able to scramble. He's only ran it twice, along with a sack as well. So he has a total of 4 rushing yards today. But then it flipped in the second quarter. The offense wasn't as good. The pressure got to Ehrlich a little bit more. The run defense for Cortland was better, and their offense figured some things out. Part of the reason why the Red Dragon offense has been so good over the last few years and so far this year is because of the big plays. That has not been the case today. The Riverhawks have taken number 1 receiver Jaden Alfano St. John basically out of the game. He has not gotten a touch on offense, but Cortland has figured things out. They're not really playing their game, but they've been able to adapt, consistently running the ball. Ethan Gallows played really well on the ground. Zach Boyes has had some nice runs, including the 2 touchdowns, and he's been making some solid throws in the short game. Only 64 yards passing for him. I think overall the pass defense has been pretty solid, but Cortland's offense has looked really good over those last 2 drives with 13 points off of the pair of touchdowns, and this is going to be a pivotal possession to lead off the second half defensively for Susquehanna.
It goes to St. John in the end zone, and he's going to return it. He's feeling it, and he gets away, gets to the outside, looking to cut back in, and is held up at the 20-yard line. So able to get a decent return out of where he began. And here comes the Cortland offense. We'll see if that break really halted their momentum or not.
And it'll be interesting to see what the play calling looks like from the Red Dragon offense because, again, as I just touched on, their offense has not been able to play their game. They haven't gotten the big splash plays. Their longest gain is 26 yards through the air. Their longest run is 10 yards. We haven't seen the home runs that this Red Dragon team typically gets. However, they've been able to adapt. They've been able to sort of pace themselves offensively. I'm curious to see if they're going to be really focused on that or if they will go for big plays through the air in particular.
They start on the ground with Gallo, which was really the name of the game in the first half, and he keeps on keeping on with a gain of 5 to start out.
I think if the Susquehanna run defense plays really well, then Cortland's going to have to look to stretch the field, which they haven't been able to do. The Riverhawk run defense was inconsistent in that first half, so I think if they're able to play well in this second half, then Cortland's offense is going to be a lot more predictable, and that could be a problem.
We'll see if they go back to Gallo on the ground. That's been the forte in the first half to make it third and manageables or even just pick up the first down. It's a throw, and it gets deflected and nearly intercepted by Berkeley Wagner, number 25, but that could have been a big backbreaker to start if he was able to make the catch.
Zach Boyes is a guy who does not turn the ball over, but now that's the second time that the Riverhawks nearly got an interception. It wasn't really a play that Wagner, I think, could have made, but it was still close, and Boyes has got to watch himself now. That's twice where the Riverhawks nearly forced interceptions. Good pass rush, good coverage across the board, and that leads us to a pivotal 3rd and 5.
Riverhawks showing pressure with 4 receivers wide. Snap low. Boyes has to get rid of it quickly, and he does. Brzeziva, who hurdles and flips over to get the first down at the 35.
That was a good play there by Cortland. Their offense, in terms of the passing game, has been really focused on quick passes, getting 5-6 yards at a time. That time, Ziva was able to make a nice play after the catch. He's been the go-to guy with Alfano St. John being locked down completely, and Ziva's had a strong start in that first half. He had a couple nice gains, gets another one there, and a good play after the catch with some style points as well.
Cortland hurrying to the line, and they stay to the air, and a great catch and run after the fact. Down at the 45-yard line is Nick Jordan, number 80, the first time we've called him this afternoon.
Yeah, that was a nice play. It looked like an RPO, fake the handoff, up the middle. And again, these short, quick passes is what Cortland has been really efficient with over these last few drives. They leaned in on it late in the first half, and so far in this second half, they've gone right back to it because the Riverhawks haven't been able to stop it consistently.
Susquehanna's defense really strong to start, but it looks like Cortland has figured it out. With a touchdown, they can take the lead for the first time all day. Again, 4 receivers wide. And another quick throw. It's to Ziva again, and Ziva gets pushed out of bounds by Latrey Bond after a 6-yard gain.
It looked like the Riverhawks were prepared to go into a cover 3 there. It looked like they were really trying to, again, focus on not letting up the big play. But much has been the case throughout late in the first half and in the third quarter. Short, quick passes, giving these receivers opportunities to make plays after the catch. And I give the defense credit. The receivers haven't been able to get too many big gains with the ball in their hands. So if the defense is able to continue that and get good tackles and whatnot, then Cortland's offense is just going to have to keep these slow drives going. That's the only way it's been working.
Thick into the air, but this time nowhere to go for Boyes. Garrett Carter, faster than a streak of lightning, gets him down. Make it 3rd and long. He had some help from Brian Layton as well.
Yeah, good job there by Carter and Layton. Layton's a guy who's really taken some impressive strides over these last couple of weeks, and he's become one of the most valuable players for this defense. And then Carter, of course, making plays in the backfield per usual. And that leads us to a pivotal 3rd down, because I think we're too early in the second half for Cortland to consider going for it at this area of the field unless they get 6 or 7 yards. So they've got to get something good here on 3rd down. The Riverhawk defense playing off. They don't want to let up the big play. They're fine with letting up 4 or 5.
And Cortland, knowing how big of a 3rd down this could be, decide to talk it over and use their first time out of the second half. Not even 4 minutes into it.
Cortland's got to get this play call right. It looked like the Riverhawks were going to play off coverage, have guys near the 1st down marker to allow Cortland to get another short gain, which would make it a 4th and 4 and give them a tough decision. But I don't think Cortland wants that. They want to avoid the 4th down at all costs. So they've got to make a smart play call here. I imagine the Riverhawks, obviously they're not going to run the exact same defense, but I think a similar concept of having 2 or 3 guys back deep, not having your corners pressed up at the line of scrimmage. So Cortland's got to be ready for that.
When it comes to fourth downs in this game, both teams has only faced fourth down once, and each time they both converted. In terms of third down, Susquehanna's 4 per 8, while Cortland is 1 for 4. At least in the first half. Prior to this drive, they were able to pick it up earlier on in a similar situation at the Riverhawk 43. It'll be interesting to see if it's fourth down territory. As you said, Riverhawk fans, stay loud. And that defense looking for a much-needed stop to give the offense a chance, potentially. Gallo in motion. Boys looking to throw. Has to go up the middle, and he's dragged down by Buck and Schultes at the 40-yard line. So it's going to be 4th and 5. What do you do here?
This is a really interesting dilemma here for Cortland. It looks like they will go for it. I guess this is the right call. Their offense has gotten some momentum. It's not like a 4th and 9, 4th and 10 to where you have to punt it. Boys was able to get a little bit there. And I think given that they do have the momentum, I do probably agree with this, but it is risky. If you don't get it, all the momentum that they've been working on getting throughout the second quarter would basically be flipped away. So they have to convert here. But again, trust your senior quarterback. Trust the All-American to make the play.
And they do. Boys, nowhere to go. Trying to find some open room, and he can't. He escapes again, fires down the middle, but it's incomplete short. Intended for Nick Jordan. That play could have been dangerous for the Riverhawks. They had multiple times to have a chance to get Boys down, but he just couldn't find his target.
And for a team that was losing momentum at the end of the first half, that's exactly how you get it back. Perfect defensive play. Everybody was correct in their assignments and coverage. The pass rush was there. Even though Zach Boys was breaking away, he was doing all he could to avoid the sack, which he did. But the pressure was too much. There were too many guys in the backfield to where he had to make the off-balance throw because he was losing balance and would have eventually been wrapped up after breaking 2 or 3 tackles.
And an excellent play, excellent job by the secondary, keeping their assignments in check. Nowhere for him to go, but now here comes the offense in a favorable spot. Still up by 4. We'll hand it off to Rashawn Lamont to start off. And he started out hot, but Cortland keeping him in check for a gain of 2.
Yeah, the Cortland run defense has really gotten better as this game has gone along, and I think their front unit, their defensive line, again, has performed really well in the battle of the trenches. Their defensive line's made some nice plays. The Riverhawks have not been able to consistently run the ball, which has been their offense's forte over these last few years, and of course these first 2 weeks. I think you got to get Lamont's looks on the outside, especially in the screen game.
Ehrlich trying to roll out, but he can't get away. Taken down by Nick Lardero, number 95, on the sack. And now it's 3rd and long.
As good of a runner as Josh Ehrlich is, it's really not on design run plays and options. As we've seen over these first few weeks, all of Ehrlich's best runs are on design passes where he has to scramble. In these design QB runs, the Riverhawks haven't been successful so far this year. I'm not really sure why they tried that. If you want to get Josh Ehrlich going in the run game, call a passing play with maybe Ehrlich holding the idea of looking to run unless somebody gets open, because that's what's worked for them so far this year.
Lardero able to find a hole in the Riverhawk O-line on 3rd and long. Ehrlich with plenty of time, firing down the middle, but it's incomplete. Trying to find Morganroth. It looks like it hit him in the hands, but now Susquehanna going 3 and out after the defense got a stop.
It wasn't an easy catch to make, but it was certainly a doable one. I liked what Josh Ehrlich did there. Even though he's at his best, scrambling around in the pocket, looking to make plays, it hasn't worked. So he was able to stay in the pocket, go through his progressions, made a solid throw. It wasn't perfect, but I do think it was a catchable ball. Nonetheless, it looked like the communication between quarterback and receiver was a little off, wasn't perfectly timed, and they're going to have to punt it away.
Ravi Das Jr. back deep for Cortland. So the big decision to go for it doesn't really hurt them, pardon me. Daza trying to fair catch it, and he does, fielding it at the 31.
And something I've noticed so far in the second half from both teams is we're seeing a lot less extracurricular after the play. That's going to be important because that was an issue late in the first half, especially for Susquehanna. We do have a flag here, so maybe I spoke a little too soon, but we'll see what the ruling is.
At least to our knowledge from what we saw, didn't look like any extracurriculars.
Face mask. Kicking team. Correction. Receiving team. Number 0. 15 yards from the red ball spot.
So I guess we spoke too soon on that. It's Ryan Esom, number 0. The guilty party on that play. They'll be pushed back 15 more yards. As you said, it didn't look like much. But the chippiness and the after-the-fact activity has really been pivotal in this game thus far.
It took a few minutes, but now it's back, and that feels like an especially unnecessary penalty on Cortland because it was a fair catch. No reason to do that. Both of these teams got to control themselves because given how close this game is, I think the team that's going to be more disciplined and avoids these penalties, again, is going to have the best chance to win. You can't give up 3 yards, and you can't push your offense back deep. Portland was going to start with good field position at the 30. Now they're backed up inside their own 20 at the 15, which completely changes the early complexion of this possession.
Still with a chance to get their first lead of the game is Boys. He's going for a long one, and he finds Ziva. Ziva met by 3 Riverhawks, brought down by Parson at the 41, so a big play on the first play of the drive.
That's the longest throw we've seen so far from Zach Boys. He's got a big arm, but he hasn't been able to show it. This time, Cortland does have multiple receivers looking downfield. It looks like they are trying to open up the playbook a little bit, and Ziva was wide open. The Riverhawks looked like they were in off coverage. They had a few guys near him, but plenty of space for Boys to make the throw, and a strong gain of 26 yards, tied for their longest offensive play of the afternoon.
Back in familiar territory from where the previous drive ended. And Boys will keep it on the ground, and he's got a lot of room. He stays on his feet, and he's brought down by Monger inside the 30, around the 28. He had the whole defense fooled on that play.
Yeah, another good run there for Zach Boys. The Cortland offense looks good here on this possession. And after that first drive, I imagine they were a little bit worried after the fact that they didn't score. Much of the storyline at the end of the first half is that they are starting with the ball in the second half, but they weren't able to do anything. However, their defense getting the stop, and now the offense moving down the field, it feels like they've got the momentum right back that we thought might have been taken away after the 4th down conversion. So the Riverhawk defense is going to have to hold in the red zone, given that the offense is slowing down over these last few drives.
Staying on the ground with Gallo this time, who is really churning his legs to get extra yardage before finally being stopped. They'll mark him down at the 21-yard line to a loss of progress, but that's a gain of around 7 yards.
Cortland's definitely looked to the pass more in the second half, but they know they can't go away from the run because it was successful in the first half, and a big reason why they were able to score on those last 2 possessions. Continuing to utilize Ethan Gallo is going to be key. With your number 1 playmaker, Jaden Alfano St. John, not being utilized, they've got to run things through Gallo more and more. It's worked over these last few drives, and they're going to continue to do it because the Riverhawk defense has not consistently shown that they've been able to stop the run today.
2nd down and 3 for Cortland. And they stick it with Gallo. Gallo with a lot of room. He gets met and brought down inside the 5. 3 yards away from their first lead of the day.
Longest run of the afternoon here for Cortland. Much of their success has been running up the middle and Gallo fighting off tackles to fight for extra yards. This time they go to the outside. They get plenty of space from the blocking, and as we see, Gallo has good vision. He's athletic, he's quick, and he shows it there to bring Cortland past the 5-yard line with a great opportunity for them to finally take the lead. Red zone defense has got to hold up. We'll see if they can do it. They almost did it on the last possession that Cortland scored, but they couldn't. We'll see if they can do it here.
Alfano St. John in motion, but they give it to Gallo, and he charges in. Touchdown, Red Dragons. So the defensive stop turns into a long touchdown drive, and Cortland, for the first time this afternoon, has the lead with 6:35 to go in the 3rd.
Cortland's offensive line deserves so much credit. These guys were the D3 offensive line of the week a week ago, and it is shown here. This is one of the best offensive lines at the Division III level. They continue to win the battle up front. They continue to give Gallo plenty of space, and Gallo continues to do the rest. Having a healthy run game like this with a good running back and a good offensive line gives your offense so much freedom, as we saw in that possession, their last 3 plays all on the ground, all big runs.
Monger going way offsides on that play, trying to go for a big block. It doesn't work. This is not the first time this has happened, and last time Cortland thought about bringing their guys out for the 2-point conversion, but once again it looks like they'll just forego that and go with the PAT. A chance to make it a 3-point game. Mike Beloga missed his last extra point attempt. He's 2 of 3 on the day, trying to get back on track. And he does with that one. So it's a 3-point lead for Cortland. And Susquehanna, the offense has gone dead quiet ever since that hot first quarter.
On their first 3 possessions, the Riverhawks marched down the field. They scored 3 touchdowns. Since then, on their last 3 possessions, just 3 points, including 2 consecutive scoreless drives. The offense has got to figure it out. What do they have to do? I think utilizing your best players is going to be key. Kyle Howes, big first quarter, 100 yards. Hasn't gotten a target since then. Cortland's covered him really well since then. Rashawn Lamons has been quiet in the second quarter as well. They've tried to run him up the middle. It hasn't worked. I think you need to continue to utilize the screen game with him because that's how he's at his best, in space. He can run up the middle. He can fight for tough yardage, but he's best in space because he's so quick and dynamic. That's what the Riverhawks have to do. This offense predicates on big plays with him. They haven't been able to get that over those last few drives, but they need to put themselves in position to where Lamons and Howes, Lamons in particular, has the ball in space.
Lamons around the 5-yard line for a potential return if the ball finds him. But Josh Ehrlich, after a strong first half, he went 12-19 for 162 yards and a touchdown. Hasn't been able to get the offense much more. A long kickoff and has to be fielded by Morgenroth. He was back deep, trying to find an open gap, and he finds something past the 20-yard line down at the 22, where the offense will go to work.
He could have been stopped a lot short, but Rashawn Lamons made a really nice block there, leading to Morgenroth finding space. Still a pretty solid defensive display there on kickoff coverage for Cortland because Morgenroth's had some better returns. He's been able to get the Riverhawks in good field position. Not so much there. Here at the 22-yard line, huge possession for the offense after starting up 24-7. Cortland has gotten 20 unanswered. Have to respond here.
Ever since the Riverhawks went up 24-7, it's been 20 unanswered by the visitors. Lamons, first play of the drive, gets the ball, gets a gain of around 3 yards.
Doesn't look like the Riverhawks are going to go away from running the ball up the middle, and that was a solid run from Lamons. He gets around 3 or 4, decent gain there. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to it on second down to try to make it third and short, but I think they're going to look to throw the ball here, try to get a chunk play, and get the offense back into a rhythm.
A rhythm they have not been able to find for a while. Another play to Lamons. He gets hit right away, but falls forward for a gain of 2. So it'll be third down and 5 yards to go.
This Cortland run defense has been terrific this year. Over the first 2 games of the year, they've let up less than 1 yard per carry on rushing plays. In the first quarter, that was not the case. Their run defense looked not so good. But since then, they've done a really good job keeping guys in the box, winning their reps up front to where Rashawn Lamons hasn't been able to get much up the middle because there's been no space for him to go.
Ehrlich now will throw, and he's going for a long one for Kyle Howes. What a catch! There's a flag. It doesn't matter. In double coverage and interfered with, Kyle Howes makes a brilliant play and is down at the 43.
Ehrlich trusts his receiver in double coverage. That's a risky play, but he knows Kyle Howes can make it. Howes isn't some 6'3" big-bodied receiver. He's around 6 foot, but his body control at his size is really impressive. He knows how to play big. He knows how to win jump balls, and he does there.
Ryan Isom, number 0, in coverage on that play, got handsy to try to deter a big play, and it does not work. So they get him down at around the 49, actually, so they're back in Cortland territory in desperate need of some points. Susquehanna wants the ball to be much closer than it actually was spotted. I think that's the case they're trying to make here. It looked like Howes was brought down around the 43, but they spot him at the 49.
Yeah, that's what I saw, and it looks like the officials are going to move the ball up. I'm not really sure what happened there, but they will get it past the 45. An incredible play by Kyle Howes, one of his most impressive grabs of the year so far.
He really needed that one because, as you said, Cortland kept him largely in check after that hot first quarter. But he's able to light a spark under this offense, hopefully, as they look to try and snatch the lead back. They got 44 more yards to go. Lamons in the game at running back still. In motion is Michael Robbins, number 88, the tight end, with 3 receivers. Ehrlich, he's going for another long ball. This time for Buchter. He got him, and he's in. Touchdown, Susquehanna. Bang, bang on back-to-back pass plays. That one from 44 yards out, and the lead is back on the Riverhawk side.
This is one-on-one coverage. Buchter creates separation off of the corner, and there is not a safety back deep to help. Ehrlich sees this, fires and launches a perfect throw. Great route from Buchter. He creates separation off the press coverage immediately. He's open, and he's able to outrun the corner, taking it to the house. The emergence of Chris Buchter since the end of last season for this offense has been so key. Obviously, Kyle House is the true number one receiver, but having a really good number two like Buchter is so valuable.
Colasurdo gets that one away, and he stays perfect, adding the crucial fourth point to Susquehanna's lead. And after a really quick drive, we see Cortland go back out on offense as they look to respond.
Yeah, really haven't seen a lot of big plays from either team so far today. Both of the back ends have done a good job of taking the big play out, but we see back-to-back huge throws from Josh Ehrlich, and we're giving these receivers a ton of credit for those plays, and deservedly so. But Josh Ehrlich put it on the money both times. That second throw to Buchter as well, one of, if not maybe the best throw he's made all year. That was a perfect pass.
Ehrlich finally getting back on track from that hot first quarter. Alphonso St. John and Dawes Jr. again deep on the kickoff. But every time they've kicked it off, they've challenged Alphonso St. John more than they have Dawes Jr. It burned them one time, but ever since then, they've done a good job preventing a big return.
Yeah, kickoff coverage has been an issue for the Riverhawks, but they've done really well since allowing the early return to Alphonso St. John. But as we know, he is dangerous with the ball in his hands, and the special teams has been on and off so far this season. So it's certainly a risky strategy continuing to kick it his way. It's worked. I don't know if you can bank on that continuing, though, but the kickoff coverage has been fantastic since letting up the touchdown. They do deserve a lot of credit.
And here they go again, another kickoff to Alphonso St. John. Around the 2 or the 3. And again, he's got some room. That's tripped up, but he's able to get some extra yardage down around the 27. It looks like they'll spot him there. And here comes Cortland again on offense.
And the Cortland offense had one of their more impressive drives previously. They had some big plays through the air, finally. They had been waiting for some opportunities to get some big plays through the pass, and then once they got it past the 30, they just ran it down the Riverhawks' throats. Not necessarily the way I expected their offense to be successful, but it's worked. Ethan Gallo has been exceptional over the last quarter and a half. I think they've got to continue to run things through him, but obviously continue to mix in the passing game, and it certainly helps having an All-American quarterback under center.
He hands it off to Gallo on the first play. This time, again, they'll give him 4 yards, it looks like, to make it 2nd and 6.
He had a lot of space again there. Brandon Shipley, the big defensive tackle, does a good job coming in, not letting him get any more. But on 2nd down and medium, why not go back to the ground? The Riverhawks are probably expecting the run, but whether they have or not over the last few drives, it hasn't mattered because it continues to work. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think they should run it again.
So they do give him 5 on that play, and they'll go back to him. Finding the blockers, he gets hit hard, but he still fights forward, and he's a yard short of the first down marker.
The Riverhawks executed that play really well, but it still goes for a gain of 4. They were in the backfield quickly. It looked like Gallo was only going to get a yard or 2, but he still fights for 3 more. 3rd and 1, I think it's a no-brainer. They have not gotten tackles for loss. Run the ball.
This time, Gallo fighting, and after an initial resistance from Furson, he falls forward for a first down and a gain of 2.
And again, Tim Furson does a good job of quickly making the play, but Gallo is just so strong. He's got great contact balance, and again, with another strong gain. He has not been tackled behind the line of scrimmage really at all today. Consistent positive runs, which made that call easy. They've ran it 3 plays in a row. It's worked. The Riverhawk run defense has looked a little bit better on this drive, though. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cortland mix it up on first down, look to throw the ball now.
3 receivers wide. They stick to the ground. Gallo. Really the first time in a while Susquehanna's kind of held him in check. But even on that play, he still gains 3.
Yeah, on one hand, the Riverhawk run defense has made good plays 3 snaps in a row. The run defense looks like it's gotten a lot better since the last drive, but Cortland is still getting solid gains. Wherever Ethan Gallo is first hit, you can add an extra 2 or 3 yards, pretty much guaranteed, because he has consistently broken the first tackle and has been able to get extra yards.
Now at the 41. Again, 3 receivers wide. Susquehanna really stacking the box here, expecting another run. But this time they throw. There is a flag, however. It blows the play dead. And you have to imagine this will go against Cortland, and it is on a false start.
And that's a big deal because now it's probably, say, 2nd and 12. And given how good the Riverhawk run defense has been over these last few plays, you can't guarantee 2 gains of 6 on the ground. So I think Cortland, who originally was planning to throw it on 2nd and 7, I think they're going to look to throw it again here. They don't necessarily have to look downfield. It's still 2nd down, but I would expect a pass here.
Certainly a situation where it would make sense. Again, Susquehanna playing back a lot deeper, and again the play is blown dead. It'll be another false start, it looks like, against Cortland.
Snap infraction. Offense, number 55.
This time it's on number 55, Ryan Bitka, the center. But back him up another 5, 2nd and 17.
Now Cortland might have to look downfield because it's 2nd and long. I think they're still going to look to throw the ball. If they run it, they've gotten consistent gains of 6 and 7. Even if they do get a strong 7-yard gain, it'd still be 3rd and 10. I think they're going to look to pass it, and I think this one's going to be beyond 5 yards of the line of scrimmage unless he has absolutely no time to throw it.
Boys with a relatively clean pocket. He'll now take off. He tries to throw it, but it's incomplete, well behind his intended man. And it's 3rd down and 17. And you feel like he probably should have just ran it at that point.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why he threw it. He still wouldn't have gained much because Jake Schultz, again, blew up another play. He continues to be fantastic. But now on 3rd and 17, either look downfield or maybe just run the ball, concede that this drive, you're not going to do anything, and punt it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they do here, but if they do look to throw it, obviously the Riverhawks have to be prepared. Cover 3, cover 4, something like that. Keep multiple guys back deep. If they gain 15 yards, that's fine. Just don't let them get past the yards marker for the first.
Ziva in motion, and Boys, pocket collapses. There's a penalty flag down. Boys needs to take off. And big man Brian Layton runs him all the way down, well short of the first down marker, and we'll see what the penalty is. It looks like it'll be a hold against Cortland, where the flag was thrown.
Flag on the play.
Holding. Offense, number 55. 10 yards from the previous spot. Replay, 3rd down.
So Susquehanna will not decline it and instead enforce the penalty that puts them all the way back at the 21-yard line. That's a very interesting decision considering they had around 9 yards to go.
It's risky, but I completely agree with it. You could have gotten your defense off the field. They would have punted it on 4th down, but now it's 3rd and 30. Assuming they don't get a big play here, they haven't had a pass go longer than 30 yards. You're probably going to get better field position. I think this is absolutely the right call. A heads-up decision by the coaching staff.
Boys, he's going for a long ball and way overthrows the intended target, Jason Ziva. So the risk pays off for the Riverhawks, and Cortland's going to have to punt this ball deep.
Susquehanna has not let up big plays in the passing game. That's why you accept the penalty. Their longest pass, 26 yards. That was a 3rd and 27. So history throughout this game has shown they're not going to get it. And now you're going to get an additional 20 yards to where you likely would have started anyway. I don't know if many coaches would have accepted that penalty. That was a really smart decision to do so, though. And now you're probably going to start with good field position and the lead. The momentum that was zapped away at the end of the first half is coming back quickly.
The punt gets away. Lamons just lets it land out of bounds. Wouldn't have had a play to begin with, but Susquehanna will start at around the 40-yard line. Arguably some of their best field position all day with a 4-point lead.
Yeah, and if you accepted the penalty, you're probably not starting past the 40. So the Riverhawks offense is in a good position here to where they're able to make some plays. Had some big passes on the last possession. Obviously, the score from Buchter headlining it. He's only caught the ball twice, but he's ended in the end zone both times. I think he obviously certainly going to continue to look for the vertical passing game because it worked on the last drive, but I think Cortland's going to be a little bit more ready. So at least on these first couple of plays, I don't think they're going to stretch the field. I think they're going to look to start by running the ball.
There's 1 minute and 17 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Only 2 receivers to the right of Ehrlich with Lamons in the backfield to his left, and he gets the ball to start off the drive. We see some shiftiness. It looked like he had a hold there, but it closed quickly, and he gains maybe a yard.
Yeah, the Riverhawks had their receivers on the right side of the field there because they wanted to get Ehrlich in, or get Lamons in space with the ball. Ultimately, it doesn't work because the Cortland run defense continues to really stand out.
Ellis Einbinder making that tackle there, but again, Sean Yamada is down. Was able to return to the game his first time, but this time grabbing his leg, and he is in a lot of pain. With that, we'll step aside. We'll be back in 30 seconds. So Yamada carried off the field. Hopefully he can return to the game. On 2nd down and 9, Susquehanna at the 41. Cortland thinks there's some movement up front. They don't get the call. A score right here for Susquehanna would be huge to try to get it back to at least a touchdown game, as Lamont escapes the initial tackler, but only gains maybe around 2 to the 44.
Yeah, I'm not surprised when they ran it here on 2nd down. As I kind of expected, Portland's going to be more prepared for the vertical pass. So because of that, I think Susquehanna's going to look to catch them off guard and run it. It does not catch them off guard at all. They were ready. Now it's 3rd and 7. Now you probably look to throw the ball here.
Yeah, it's 3rd down and 6. Susquehanna not wanting to punt it away after another great defensive stand. Morgenroth going in motion. Howes on the outside to Ehrlich's right. And Cortland looking like they're going to bring a ton of heat, but from here, they'll just run it down to the end of the quarter. So Susquehanna, 15 minutes remaining. They're holding on to a 4-point lead. What do they got to do to close out and do this again, pull off the impossible?
Smart football, that's the key. Avoid penalties, especially after the play. I think overall that was a good quarter for the Riverhawks because Cortland had the momentum going into the second half. Now they don't. The deficit remains unchanged. You have possession of the football. This time last year when these two teams were playing, the Riverhawks didn't have the lead at this point of the game. It was about coming back, which they did. Now it's time to hold on and beat Cortland for a second time in a row, something that no team has been able to do once since the start of the 2023 season. It's going to be a challenge, but I think given what the Riverhawks have shown, they can certainly do it.
We mentioned it early on in the pregame. Cortland, that was the 3rd game of the year last year. They dropped that one, then won 12 in a row to close out that season with a title, and then starting out 2-0 here in 2024. So a 14-game win streak is on the line for the Red Dragons. But the fact, given the way this game started, you could have asked for much worse to be only down by 4 here at the start of the 4th.
Absolutely. Against the defending champs, the number 2 ranked team in Division 3, the Riverhawks have not only made this a game, but they've been the better team. They've been good for 45 minutes, but this is the 15 that matters the most. Can they hold on?
It all starts here. Again, 3rd down and 6. Ehrlich with a lot of time. Pocket collapsing. He stays on his feet. Rolling out. Has to find somebody. He fires, and it's way out of bounds. It's caught by number 7, Nazir Jean Labin. But he's going to have to be way out of bounds, and they'll punt it away.
That was a great play by the Red Dragon defense because it looked like Rashawn Lamont was going to be open underneath, and Ehrlich was getting ready to throw him the ball, but Cortland recognizes this. They send somebody towards him immediately to where Ehrlich has to change it up. He does a good job of avoiding the sack and makes the smart play by throwing it away. But Rashawn Lamont's almost got the ball there, and it looked like he would have had space to get a solid gain. Probably would have converted the 1st down. So that was a really good job there by Cortland to not let him get the ball and thus end the drive, getting it back, still only down by 4.
Great defensive containment as usual as Dawes Fair catches it at around the 19-yard line. So 81 yards to go, depending on the spot, for Cortland to try to snatch the lead back.
And I think overall, the Susquehanna defense has been quite solid here in the second half. Things were slipping from them in the first half, The run defense looked shaky, and it looked a little shaky on that touchdown drive in the third. But Cortland could not run the ball on their last drive. The Riverhawks consistently made nice plays. Even though Ethan Gallo was breaking tackles and still fighting for yardage, the defense did a really good job holding him in check. And a couple of penalties as well also really killed the drive for Cortland. They had 3 penalties for the offensive line. They cannot have that happen again, because that was the difference from them maybe getting something going on that drive and then, well, not.
Boys, he's going for the long ball on the first play to Alfano St. John. It's incomplete, but there's a lot of contact, and the flag will go against Ben Mongear for pass interference.
Yeah, I think that's the correct call. There's some clear contact from Mongear. He wasn't facing the ball. Looked like he was really preventing the receiver from having any chance to make the play there because of his physicality. Unfortunately for the Riverhawks, I think this is the correct decision here from the officials.
It feels like the first time all game they've gone to Alfano St. John. As you said, he has been their best receiver early on this year, but has not been able to find the ball offensively, at least. Special teams, different story.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both by the defense. Holding, defense, number 10, that penalty is declined. Pass interference, number 15, 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down.
So the pass interference is actually against Dominic Wynn. Mongear was called for the hold, but wisely declined, and the ball moved up to the 35-yard line for Cortland.
Yeah, the defense getting a little physical there. And ultimately, it results in a pair of penalties. Good job there by Cortland to be able to draw the flags. That's a real skill if you're a receiver. Drawing penalties, even though you're not making the catch per se, you're still giving your team first downs and positive yardage.
Back on the ground, Gallo. Nowhere to go that time. It's Parson making the play. Only around 2 yards for Gallo, but Parson now has to leave the game. He lost his helmet.
It is second down.
That was still a really good play, though, from Parson, who's had a strong game, and the run defense continues to look better. I don't know what the coaching staff told these guys after that last touchdown drive from the Red Dragons, but whatever he said worked, because the run defense has been consistently gashing rushing lanes, and all of a sudden, this Team of the Week offensive line, who looked so good for much of the second quarter and much of the third quarter, is now getting beat up front.
2nd down and 9. Back on the ground with Gallo. Gallo finds a hole, but a penalty flag coming in late, and again away from the play. It's Stephen Williams who's in disbelief with the flag. It looks like they'll get him for something. It just depends on what. Had the flag not been thrown.
Defense number 7. 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run.
So grabbing the face mask, Stephen Williams flagged for 15 yards. Had it not happened, it would have been around 3rd and 5, but instead, a fresh set of downs for Cortland as they move the ball to Susquehanna's 45.
Penalties killed the Cortland offense on their last drive. This time, it's the other way around. The Riverhawks giving them field position because of the flags. Not a good play there by Williams. They weren't even rushing towards his side. Williams has had an outstanding game today. He's been awesome, but that was a brutal penalty that could have been avoidable.
Delayed handoff, and a great read by Dominic Wynn. Trying to pry the ball loose. He can't, but still a massive loss of yardage. They get the ball to Alfano St. John, and he had nowhere to go.
A big rebound for Wynn after the pass interference called earlier on the possession. He reads the play immediately. He recognizes the speed option, and finally the Riverhawk run defense with a tackle behind the line of scrimmage, and it wasn't a loss of 1 or 2. He lost at least 4 there. 2nd and 14. You might have to go back to the pass game here with how good this Riverhawk run defense has looked over these last 2 possessions. I would expect them to throw the ball here on 2nd down.
And it looks like that will be the case. They've got 3 receivers wide. Gallo to the left of Boys. Susquehanna showing pressure. Great block by Gallo. Firing downfield, it's Ziva, and he makes the catch. Another great chunk play for the Cortland offense, and what a throw by Zach Boys.
Yeah, the Riverhawks have 5, 6, maybe 7 guys back there in coverage, but Boys finds the window. Only so many quarterbacks have that skill to really recognize the pinpoint passing lane and deliver a perfect throw. Another nice catch from Ziva, who continues to be really impressive. Jaden Alfano St. John still does not have the catch today, but Ziva's stepped up as the go-to guy for Boys.
Ziva lining up on the slot next to Andrew Tarpey. And Boys will take off. He gets met by a lot of Riverhawks. Tackled at around the 17-yard line, a gain of 4 yards. And the Susquehanna sideline upset. They want a flag for something extracurricular on Cortland, and they're not getting it.
Yeah, it looked like something with number 10, Tarpey, who since has been taken out of the game. They won't get the call there, but again, both teams have to be careful. With a game that's this close, that's going to be separated by a few points, maybe a few yards, a penalty after the play could end up being the difference. Both of these teams continue to have to be smarter. I think they've been better with it in the second half, but can't let the extracurriculars get to your head.
Back on the ground, Boys finds the seam. He gets hit hard, but he does pick up the first down and around the 9. It looks like it's Schultes or Carter.
To the 9.
That was a really good block by Gallo, the running back, who helps the quarterback. Boys get some space, run up the middle for a solid first down. Now they have it inside the 10. The red zone offense has been really good today. Being down by 4, again, a field goal doesn't do much. They're still down. They need a touchdown, and with how they've ran the ball at this area of the field, they've been successful. We'll see if they keep at it, even with the Riverhawks' improvement as this game has gone along defensively.
Gallo getting the handoff, finds the seam, and he walks in for a Red Dragon touchdown.
Gallo winds his way to the end zone.
So with 10:51 left in the fourth, Portland able to snatch the lead back, 33-31, and we'll await the PAT.
Yeah, look at Gallo here with a great jump cut up the middle of the offensive line because he sees all that space practically untouched into the end zone. Cortland back ahead.
Beloga with another PAT opportunity thus far. He's 3 for 4. Low snap, very low, and it is shanked. All because of the bad snap by Dennis DeBillis, number 27. And it stays just a 2-point game, so this could be pivotal for Cortland if they can't come away with a win.
Yeah, and in a game that's separated by only a few points, got to avoid the special teams miscues.
Yeah, we'll be back in 30 seconds after this break. Susquehanna will have the ball.
We are still looking for the winning raffle ticket number, 267003. 267003. Your winnings are up here with us in the press box, so come on up.
Welcome back. 10:51 to go in this game. Cortland 33, Susquehanna 31. Couple of bad PATs have given the Riverhawks a window where just a field goal can get the lead back, but obviously with so much time left, they want more.
They absolutely want more. Their last drive was a little shaky. The drive before obviously had the touchdown, took the lead.
But here we go here with Lamons at the 5. He takes it with a really clean shot to the midsection. Lamons down at the 30, but that was a hard hit delivered on the special team return.
And again, Lamont's ability to run with power is so impressive. He's not the biggest back physically, but he is a physical runner. He runs tough. He runs bigger than his size suggests. It's been an asset for this team on offense, and it has been on special teams as well. Pretty solid field position for the most important drive of the game. You got to get the ground game going here. It looks like Lamont is in the backfield here with Ehrlich. Got to get him going because he's been quiet offensively since the first quarter.
70 yards to go for a touchdown for the Riverhawks. Lamons going in motion. A quick pass over to Kyle House. Steps out of bounds after a gain of 6.
Yeah, that's a good play. Ehrlich sees the zone coverage early. House is open. Solid gain. Gets you around 6 yards. Helped set the tone on this drive, making it a second and manageable. And I think you can open up the playbook here. I think you can potentially look for something downfield. If you want to make sure you get close to the first down marker, you run it. I think that's what they will do. I wouldn't be surprised to see them look for a home run.
House lining up in the slot with Buchter to his left. Another pass. Ehrlich with a really clean pocket. Has to give it up to Lamons, and it was a low throw. He couldn't reel it in.
Throw for the ball is incomplete.
And now on third down, I'm fascinated to see the play call because as efficient as the rushing offense has been throughout the year and early in this game, do you trust for Riverhawks to get 4 yards here? I think given the inconsistencies from the run game, I'm not really sure you do. Even with as good of a back as Lamons and as talented of an offensive line as the Riverhawks have, I think they're going to look to throw the ball, certainly something short, ideally. Cortland's prepared for either a short pass or a run. Looks like they're stacking the box with 2 safeties back deep.
Lamons again in motion, and another throw by Ehrlich. He's going for Kyle Howes, and it's too strong. He had a step on his man, but Ehrlich just too much on the pass.
Yeah, that was a good route by Kyle Howes. In man coverage, he's able to separate from the corner quickly, and he had space. Pass was a little bit overthrown. Riverhawks are going to have to punt it. I think this is the correct call. You don't want to give Cortland even more momentum with a missed fourth down call, considering the Riverhawks haven't been consistent in short yardage situations in this game. So I think this is the right decision. Trust your defense. Defense obviously hasn't been perfect today, but they've been solid enough in the second half to where I think you can certainly put your hope in them to get a stop, keep it a one-score game.
And they do kick it away. It's a high punt. Dawes Jr. fields it at the 27. So Cortland with 9:59 to go. They control their own destiny here.
Yeah, they really haven't had the lead and the ball simultaneously at the same time throughout this game. Now they do with 10 minutes to go, and we'll see how they're able to manage this possession. Obviously, you want to chew a lot of clock. I think they're going to continue to focus on the ground game. The run offense looked really solid at the end of that last drive with a nice touchdown by Gallo, who's now over the century mark in yardage, 121. He's averaging 6 a carry. He's been consistent. He hasn't needed the big plays. His longest run is only 18 yards, but they've consistently gotten solid gains out of the rushing offense. I think that's what they're going to live and die by on this possession.
Gallo to the right of Boys, and he gets the ball. No, he does not. Boys fakes out everybody. Gets a really respectable gain. It looks like they'll give him 6 on that one for 2nd and 4.
The option faked out the defense, and the option fakes us out up here. Nobody saw that one coming, and that's because Cortland executed it perfectly. You figure they're going to go to Gallo, given how efficient he's been, but they keep it there with the quarterback, Boys.
How about this? Boys heading over to the sidelines. Might have gotten dinged up on that run. So now Cortland in a tight game going to the backup. They're going to go with Vin Mazzone, number 16, the senior. And they hand this ball off. Gallo trying to fight for extra yardage. He can't quite pick up the first down. It'll be 3rd and 1 as Boys returns to the field.
Another successful play, though, there for Gallo. It looked like he was going to be wrapped up at around the 35-yard line, but right at the end, fights for extra yards, gets an additional 2, and given where we are with a 3rd and 1, that's a pivotal play here. If Cortland doesn't get it and it's a 4th and 1, I could see a world where they would go for it because they haven't been tackled behind the line of scrimmage.
An interesting play call coming up. Boys handing it off to Gallo. I don't think he got it. I don't think he got it at all. He might have lost a yard for all that. And it's a very interesting decision coming up for Cortland. You're up 2. It's 4th down. What do you do?
It's gutsy to go for it. I think they should. They have consistently gotten positive yards on rushing plays. Not that time, but throughout this game, they've done it at a really high level. Now, interestingly, the offense is out on the field. Gallo's coming out of the game. So with him banged up, I feel like maybe this changes things a little bit. Maybe you're more likely to consider the punt. Not the case here.
We'll see if they're actually going to go for it or if they're just trying to draw him offside. But for Susquehanna, you got to be disciplined. Alfano St. John in motion, and they do go for it. Boys looking for a seam, and it's close. Will they give him the spot?
I think he might have gotten it by a hair. Again, very close, but from this angle, it looked like he did.
Susquehanna thinks he was stopped short, but based off that spot, it looks like it should be enough to move the chains, and it will.
He's got the 33, that's the 1st down.
Yeah, with Gallo out of the game, the run for Boys felt like the obvious play call there. The Riverhawk defense did a good job. He only got a yard. Problem is, that's all they needed to keep the drive going, and this clock's going to continue to chip away. 7.5 now left in the 4th.
Boys now in an empty backfield with 3 receivers wide. He's going to take it himself again. He finds daylight. Win with a tough hit, but after a gain of around 4 yards. And Wynn shaken up after the fact. He's got to limp his way to the sidelines. There's another injured Riverhawk down as well. Looks like it's Brandon Shipley, number 98. He'll be looked at, and we'll step aside. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Shipley able to get off the field. But now for Susquehanna, this is a big opportunity. 2nd and 6. Cortland still on their side of the field. And with 7 minutes to go, this could be Cortland's chance to really ice this game. And they do another design quarterback run to Boys with a lot of daylight again. He gets all the way into the secondary before finally being brought down at the 41.
That was a big run there for Boys, and an interesting trend with him. He's taken a lot of hits. He hasn't really slid, which has been the case throughout this season with Josh Ehrlich as well. That time it works out. He's able to fight for some extra yards. Looks like Gallo's back in the game for Cortland. That's a big deal given how good he's been on the ground. Ever since he's been out of the game, they've ran 3 plays, and it's been all design QB runs. But with Gallo back, they can go back to him as their bell cow workhorse back to try to chew some more clock and maybe make it a 2-score lead.
And he gets it. He gets away from the initial pursuit, and he is shoved out of bounds inside the 30, a gain of around 12, and that'll move the chains.
That was a good run there for Gallo. Much of his day has been about running in a straight line, fighting for extra yards up the middle, but he sees space to the outside. He cuts to the right, gets a good gain. He hasn't ran in space a lot, but when he has, he's been pretty effective.
2nd and 1 from the 32.
And you're seeing from Cortland no urgency whatsoever as the clock is now under 6 minutes. Though he does not get the first down. They spot him just a tad short. It'll be 2nd and inches. You have to think they're going right back to him, and they do. Carries the pile inside the 30, and now the chains will move.
And this time Gallo's got the first to the 28.
And the most important thing is that clock. We now sit at under 5.5 minutes. If Cortland continues to chew clock, continues to run it down their throats, and scores a touchdown, it would be a 2-score game with theoretically not a lot of time left for the Riverhawks. They came back down by a similar deficit, a bigger one, last year, but Cortland's been in this spot. They blew it a season ago. They've obviously learned a lot since then. They haven't lost since then. This team certainly knows how to finish, and we'll see if they can redeem themselves from a year ago.
You have to imagine they're staying on the ground, and they do with Gallo. Gallo gashing this Riverhawk front 7. He dives for a gain of 9 yards to the 19.
And again, much as it's been throughout the second half, it looked like it was going to be a gain of 5 or 6, but Gallo continues to push forward, continues to fight for extra yards. He's been the MVP for Cortland today, their best player, their most important player. Without him on the ground, I don't see how they would have anywhere near a chance to win this game. But in this second half in particular, he has been so key for the Red Dragons and the biggest reason why they're up late.
Time of possession battle is seemingly flipped. In the first half, Susquehanna greatly controlled it, but here now it's Cortland controlling the pace. This time they go with a short pass to Ziva. Ziva cuts inside, stays in bounds, tackled at the 14 for a first down.
Another nice play there by Ziva and the offense. He's nearing the 100 yards mark receiving-wise with Jaden Alfano St. John still without a touch on the offensive side of the ball. It's impressive that Cortland hasn't been able to utilize him at all. And their offense, while it certainly looked worse than it has over the last few weeks, they've still been able to consistently move the ball down the field with efficient short passing plays and obviously a very effective ground game.
Berkeley Wagner making the tackle on Ziva. Again, 3 receivers wide. And another run, Gallo. He owns the ball! Recovered by Susquehanna! Where are they going to spot it? If he's down in the end zone, that's a touchback. Oh my goodness, this could be huge. Susquehanna, it looks like they have the ball, but where is the spot going to be? It is Susquehanna's ball. Ethan Gallo with a ghastly fumble this deep in Riverhawk territory. And they give him a touchback as well, so Susquehanna, with 3:26 to go and 3 timeouts, will have a chance down 2 to win this game if they control the ball correctly.
Wow, what a play there by the defense. You can see that ball flying out, and all of a sudden the door is back open. I wasn't sure the offense was going to have much of the chance to come back and win this game, but now they will, and all they need is a field goal from your clutch kicker, Christian Colasordo. Got to play smart, efficient football, but you have plenty of time. 3.5 minutes, 3 timeouts. The door is wide open for the Riverhawks.
We'll see how they start off this drive. They'll start it with a pass. Ehrlich, he gets strip sacked, and Cortland gets the ball right back.
Ehrlich to pass, loose ball recovered by...
Turnovers on back-to-back plays. It's recovered by Max Llewellyn, number 51. So the script does indeed flip, but Cortland, with all of that madness, somehow, someway has the ball back. There is a flag on the field, but it's most likely after the play.
This is a sideline warning on the Cortland bench. This is their first and only warning of the game. There is no yardage associated with this penalty. It is still first down for SUNY Cortland.
So Cortland now at the 19-yard line, just when we thought Susquehanna had life. The defense able to come up with a big play of their own.
Yeah, so much for that. I think it was 95. Nick Ladaro, the right end, who wins his rep, gets to the backfield, forces the ball out, back-to-back fumbles, the momentum teetering like a roller coaster over these past couple of minutes, and we're right back to square one. Cortland with it in the red zone and the lead.
They'll go for the air on this play. It's Ziva. He breaks away, but he can't stay in bounds. He steps out at the 6.
And now Cortland puts themselves in a really good spot because they have it back in the red zone. Their offense has been super efficient in this area of the field. Boyce with 2 rushing touchdowns. Of course, Gallo with 1 as well, along with, of course, 160 yards. They've been at their best, looking for the short yards, and now they're right in position to do that. The real question, though, if they score, though, would be the PAT because they'd be up by 8. They've missed a couple of extra points. This one would be pivotal. But obviously, they've got to punch it in, though. The Riverhawk defense knows that if they allow a touchdown, that could be it. So the defense has got to hold.
Defense trying to hunker down, but Gallo this time, does he get in? They'll mark him just short at the 1, but for Cortland, that could be a blessing in disguise as the clock continues to trickle down.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for them that Gallo was not in because now they get to waste another 40 seconds before punching the ball in.
First time out of the half.
Susquehanna calls their timeout with 2:23 to go in the 4th. It is looking dire at this point, but there is a small window open. If the cards fall right, Susquehanna having to talk this one over. This is big coming up these last 2 minutes.
Certainly, and on second down, pretty much at the 1, you've just got to have everybody essentially in the box. Maybe 1 or 2 defenders out, but you've got to stack it as much as possible and basically stop 3 shoves in. The likelihood is pretty low, but we'll see if they can do it. Instead of having the Riverhawks waste time, they're going to call a timeout. So it still works out for Cortland that they were stopped at the 1 because they're able to burn the first of Susquehanna's 3 timeouts.
With the way the ball is spotted, it looks like it's inside the 1-yard line, so not even that, maybe just a couple inches to get in. And for Cortland, as you said, with just the 6, it could be 39-31. But given the way the special teams has been, the PAT is not a given. If he is able to come through Mike Beloga, then it'll be 40-31, and Susquehanna, they'll have to score and then pray for an onside kick if such a thing is to happen. Second down and goal from inside the 1. Boys Trying to hand it off to Gallo. He churns through, and he finds the end zone. Touchdown, Cortland.
The Riverhawks read the play well, but as Gallo's done all afternoon, fighting for extra yards, not going down on the first hit, he gets the touchdown. But now comes the point after try, which has been the concern for Cortland today. They've missed 2. Cannot afford to miss this one. If they get it, it would be a 2-score game.
If he does, as you said, 2-score game, and Susquehanna has to be quick. We'll see if they decide to try to go for the block. It's going to be difficult. They've been offsides a couple times, but this time the kick up on the way, and he knocks it through. 40-31, 2:20 to go, and Susquehanna in dire straits.
Yeah, now this is the part of the year where it looks like there's some concern. Now, I will point out, they were down by 14 with 4 minutes to go in this matchup last year. They scored 17 points under 5 minutes to win the game. So they've been here before, but with a lot less time, only 2:20 and 2 timeouts. That's going to start with a quick drive on offense. No time to waste. Got to get things moving fast.
So really, we're going to see most likely nothing but passing from this point onwards. Kyle Howes, Rashawn Lamons, and Sean Kane will be back deep on the return. We'll see who Cortland decides to kick it away to. Howes a dangerous returner. Hasn't gotten that many chances this early in the season. But it all comes down to how Susquehanna plays it with 2:20 left. Cortland taking their sweet time to make sure that everything's executed perfectly. They don't want a repeat of last year. But so far, they're well on track to do that and get this win streak up to 15 in a row.
And for the Riverhawks, it'd be their first regular season loss in almost 3 years. Uncharted waters for this program.
Kick gets away. Howes lets it go into the end zone. So no time burned, and the offense has to pull out a miracle.
And you got to do it quick. Again, 2:20 and 2 timeouts, not a lot of time to waste considering they need 2 scores. They're going to look to stretch the field early and often. Cortland's going to be ready. You got to get these receivers open somewhat deep and also giving them opportunities after the catch.
Who is the go-to guy if you're Susquehanna to try to somehow bring this back to a 1-score game quickly?
I think since Ehrlich is probably going to be looking to throw it 5, 10, 15-plus yards down the field consistently, rather than dumping it off to Lamons, it's going to be the receivers. Kyle Howes obviously is going to be the guy, but Chris Buchter has been especially good this year. I think you look for him as well quite often.
And they're going for the deep ball to Kyle Howes, and it's broken away incomplete. Penalty flag thrown. So that'll give the Riverhawks 15 extra yards. For Cortland, it sucks that it's a penalty, but at the same time, it's better than a big completion down the field, and Susquehanna's already in your territory after one play.
Yeah, you'd rather the penalty than the completion if you're Cortland. That was a close call.
Defense, number 7, 15 yards from the previous spot.
Definitely some contact there. I see why they made the call, but I also kind of see why Jean Lubin is upset. Had they not called that, I don't think I would have batted an eye, but certainly a close bang-bang play. And for the Riverhawks, he'll take that. Any way you can get yards at this point is a win.
Now at the 40, 8 seconds off the clock on that play. Still 2 timeouts. Won't be surprised if they try their luck with it again. Ehrlich going to run up the middle, but again, contained very well by Cortland. He gains only 2 yards. That's not going to help you.
No, but the clock will stop as it gets us to the 2-minute warning. So I think on that play, Ehrlich could afford to run. If the 2-minute warning wasn't right in front of him, I don't think he would have done that. I think he would have looked to throw it away or go through his progressions more.
Caden Martinez making that tackle in open space. But now for Susquehanna, now at the 2-minute warning, you can only stop the clock twice. But Cortland, again, showing great resilience. They blew a 17-point lead last year, and Susquehanna on track to blow a 17-point lead this year, and both teams would be doing so in the opponent's own stadium.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part about that, as you said, is that it's on the road. Both teams blowing big leads at home. The Cortland one a little bit more dramatic since they did it within 5 minutes. At least in the case of the Riverhawks, it was the second quarter when they led 24-7. But it's still going to hurt the same because assuming the Riverhawks don't come back and win, it's still a loss. It still hurts in a game that you had a chance to win.
But again, does Susquehanna have another miracle left in them? It's going to be tricky. 2nd and 8. Out of the 2-minute warning, down 9. 4 receivers wide for Ehrlich. Lamons in the game at running back. Cortland looking like they'll rush 3, and they will. Ehrlich almost sacked. Able to escape. Has to throw it. Finds Kane, number 12. But it looks like he stepped out of bounds. He tried to turn upfield, but for the best, he stepped out and it stops the clock.
I think they're trying to figure out if he was out of bounds before or during the catch. If that's the case, it'd be incomplete.
Went out of bounds on his own, did not reestablish. Therefore, the result of the play is an incomplete pass. It is 3rd down.
Incompletion, so 9 seconds off the clock and you don't move forward.
And now that makes it a 3rd down. You've got 2 plays here. Otherwise, the game is essentially over. I think if you're the Riverhawks, you look for the big play here on 3rd down to try to avoid a 4th down. Have a deep threat or 2 look to stretch the field. There's only 1 safety back deep. I wouldn't be surprised to see these corners go into a deep zone, though.
Cortland again rushing 3. Ehrlich, he'll take it himself and can't get much of anything despite it. Only 2 yards gained to the 44, and the clock is still running. Susquehanna not using their timeout.
4th down.
I don't think that was the right decision there by Ehrlich to try to run up the middle because the clock keeps going. You don't get much, and it's still 4th and long.
And they finally decide to use it, but after a lot of time is burned away, 1:27 left. Now 1 timeout left for the Riverhawks.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them using the timeout, but why did they waste a few seconds to do it as well? It feels like this drive has just been a little bit sloppy. The play calling, the clock management hasn't been great. And now the game pretty much comes down to a 4th and 7. If Cortland gets a stop, they should be in business to hold on. So the Riverhawks got to be smart here, obviously. Look for something downfield. You certainly don't want to throw it behind the line of scrimmage. And I think realistically, you don't want to throw the ball behind the 1st down marker. So I think they're going to look to get something deep, have multiple receivers in the intermediate area of the field waiting to get open. Obviously, Kyle Howes is the go-to guy, but I would still look for Chris Buchter as well. He's a big target. He's been efficient and effective when he's gotten the ball. Obviously, Howes is the number 1 guy that Ehrlich trusts, but I think Buchter you look for, and then possibly one of the tight ends as well. Rowan Hershey, 6'2", 225, bigger than a lot of the guys on the defense as well. If nobody's open, maybe send up a jump ball or a contested opportunity for a guy like Hershey or even Buchter as well.
Susquehanna getting good field position off the penalty, but ever since then, just 4 yards gained. And that'll back them up even more. A false start, insult to injury. Now 4th and 11.
And now they're going to have to look for something even deeper, at least on a 4th and 6. You can throw the ball within 10 yards, and it's still probably past the yards marker. But now you can't. Now it's a 4th and 11, and Ehrlich is going to have to throw this one somewhat deep down the field.
We'll see who he looks for here. You got to make sure your receivers are behind the 1st down marker. Howes and Buchter to the right of Ehrlich. Kane and Morgenroth to his left. Ehrlich down the middle, finds Buchter. He's hustling out of bounds. He can't quite make it, but the drive stays alive.
Cortland didn't want to have super tight coverage there. They wanted to leave enough space to make sure Buchter didn't get the big play. That was their goal over than focusing on not allowing the 1st down. Good play, though, by the Riverhawks to quickly get it to Buchter.
Ehrlich again. He's going to go for another home run ball. Kyle Howes, and it's almost brought down. He wants a flag, will not get one this time, and he shakes his head in disbelief.
That nearly was an incredible play by Howes. The safety here, coming in late. I think that's the reason why Howes doesn't make that play, because in one-on-one coverage, it looked like Howes was going to come down with it. He boxed out the corner. He had the leverage. He had the ball in his hands, but it was the hit from the safety that jarred it out. Really smart play and coverage by the safety to quickly make it over and get the hit.
Howes now on the sideline, so in his place, number 10, John Kredensky. 1 minute and 11 seconds left. Ehrlich with plenty of time. Has to find somebody. He rolls out, fires downfield, and he finds Kredensky, and he gets out of bounds.
Really nice throw and catch. Good job there by Ehrlich to avoid the sack. Kredensky in relief of Howes, gets open, makes a nice catch, and he gets out of bounds as well, stopping the clock.
Now at the 28.
Out of bounds 28.
Really, for Susquehanna,
First down, Susquehanna.
you gotta go, ideally you want the 7 right away, but you have to wonder, if you get close enough, do you just settle for the field goal, have more time out there, and then try on sides?
I'm not really sure it matters, because if you don't get the onside, Cortland wins the game anyway. I think it's certainly an option, but not really something they should be focused on rather than making the correct play call.
Ehrlich trying to shimmy around. He stays in bounds, lost the ball, but there to pick it up is Hunter Shimko.
This clock is running. You got to move quickly. I don't know. I'm really not sure why Josh Ehrlich is looking for these runs up the middle, because it's not like they're going to stop the clock. He hasn't been able to get big gains out of it, and now it looks like they're going to burn a timeout.
It looks like actually there's an injury on the Cortland side, so Cortland stopping the clock for Susquehanna with that. In a way, it doesn't completely cost Susquehanna, but with that, we'll step away briefly. We'll be back in 30.
Officials timeout on the field for an injured defensive player. Susquehanna has elected to decline the 10-second runoff, otherwise required in this situation. Therefore, the game clock will start on the snap. It is second down.
Still in the injury timeout, Susquehanna with 46 seconds remaining. They are at the 25-yard line of Cortland. Injured players, Jaden Martinez, number 23. We've called his number a lot today. He's been integral to this turnaround on the Cortland side.
Yeah, Martinez has been one of their best defensive players. 13 tackles. That leads the team. He's been flying around the field as one of the linebackers, consistently making plays in the run game. Solid cover player as well. So that takes somebody who's would have been in the middle of the field out of the picture.
Howell's back in the game. Ehrlich, again with a clean pocket. He's firing to Buchter, and he makes the catch and gets out of bounds at the 14, wasting only 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's a really good play. It gets you the first down. You're not wasting much time. Quick throw and catch. Good job by Buchter to hold on and get out of bounds to stop the clock. Again, Cortland is playing very off coverage. They are really focused on not letting up the big play. They're fine with the Riverhawks marching down the field as long as it chews clock. They just know they have to avoid big plays after the catch.
Ehrlich again, going to the end zone, and it is just out of the reach of Morgenroth, it looks like, but it hit him in the hands. You think he probably has to come down with that one.
That would have been a hard catch. It looked like the pass was a little bit off the mark. It was a really good route. He was open. It was a catchable ball, but it would have been a hard one.
No time to dwell on it. Again, another 4 seconds off the clock. 38 to go. Susquehanna at the 14, 2nd and 10. If they're able to punch it in, it all is about the onside kick, potentially afterwards. Ehrlich to the end zone again, has his man wide open. Touchdown, Riverhawks. Finds Morgenroth that time. 31 seconds remaining. It's a 3-point game. PAT coming up, and then the big one, the onside kick.
What a great play there by Morgenroth, making up for the play on first down. You don't have a lot of slot receivers out there who can make contested catches like this, but Morgenroth does a great job there of turning around, hanging on despite the big hit in the secondary. I'm not really sure why Cortland didn't have more defensive backs playing deeper in the end zone.
Colasurno kick is away, stays perfect, so it's a 2-point game with 31 seconds left. And for Cortland, it's simple. You get the onside kick, you win this game. So you have to imagine that maybe they burn a timeout here, make sure everyone's on task to prevent a complete fumble of this situation.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. It's not like Cortland's really going to need those timeouts anyway. They're not going to get the ball back in regulation because unless they recover the onside kick where they can kneel the ball out. But if they don't get it, it's not like they really have a chance on offense. So you got to make sure everyone is ready here. Again, if you pick it up, you win. It's that simple. You avenge your loss from last year. You keep the undefeated win streak going. So for the Riverhawks, there's nothing to hide. There's no secrets here. Everyone knows they're going for an onside kick with the game on the line.
Dominic Borgias, their kicker on kickoffs all season long. Ball has to travel at least 10 yards before any Riverhawk can lay a hand on it. We'll see if there is a miracle left here for the Riverhawks. And again, Cortland will use that timeout to talk this over. Alex, you know one thing, that ball can bounce in a myriad of ways, but how does Susquehanna get this off to give themselves a chance?
I think the biggest thing you can ask for at this point is luck. You need to hope that it takes a friendly bounce. You need to hope that the first couple of Cortland players near the ball don't end up on it. This is completely in Cortland's hands. If they play this correctly, they're going to win the game. If you're Susquehanna, you need some luck on your side. Now, if you do get the luck, obviously you got to jump on the ball and whatnot, but there's not that much of a strategy here. It's luck, and then if the ball's still on the ground, then it's past 10 yards of where it was kicked. A mad dash to jump on it.
Both sides take the field once again. Borgias ready to kick this off. Has to set it down. Susquehanna has got a multitude of bodies over on the far side. They've got 6 looking to pounce on it. Cortland with the same amount of guys in the same direction. The ball falls off the stand. And we'll try this again. It all comes down to this. Borgias kicks it away. Takes a weird bounce, but it goes out of bounds. Too much juice on it. And Cortland will kneel it down and walk away with a win.
That was a good kick. It took the awkward bounce that the Riverhawks needed, but again, it just had a little too much on it. Goes out of bounds, and this game is over.
Went out of bounds. It will be first down for Cortland. Please take 1 second off the game clock. Please set the game clock to 30 seconds.
It looked like maybe there was a chance. Again, it took a really high bounce, but no Riverhawk able to catch up with it in time. And Cortland will take that and knee it. And Susquehanna will not use their remaining timeout and instead just let the game end right here. Final seconds tick away. And the SUNY Cortland Red Dragons, the defending national champions, get the revenge they were looking for and make a crazy comeback to win this game 40-38.
One of the keys for this game for Susquehanna was about setting the tone. They did that. They were up 24-7 early in the second quarter. Do you give Cortland credit? They came back in some deficits last year, obviously some very close games in the Division III playoff. This is an uncharted waters for them. They figured it out, and when they had the lead late, they almost blew it with the one fumble after the 17-point collapse last year. But with the strip sack late in the game, that was the play that won it for them.
Both sides meet in the middle. The post-game handshake. There was some chippiness throughout the entire way, but that will do it. Susquehanna's next game will be on the road against Western New England. They had 3 games at home to start, but now for their next 2, they'll be taking their show on the road to Western New England and then Catholic the following week.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the big picture here, obviously the Riverhawks are not happy to lose this game, but they looked really strong against the second-ranked team in the nation, the defending national champions. There's no such thing as a good loss in football, and obviously that's not going to be the speech in the locker room. But as we look at the big picture here, they hung on against a great team in Cortland who has been dominant through the first 2 weeks of the year, obviously won the national championship last year. This Riverhawk team showed that they can and will hang with anyone on their schedule. And this team certainly looks like the team to beat in the Landmark Conference as we get set for the game next week, followed by Landmark play through the rest of the regular season.
Obviously a lot to sink your teeth into today, but certainly, although it didn't come Susquehanna's way, the game certainly lived up to its billing of 2 great teams going at it, and we got a close game in the end.
Absolutely. These 2 teams not only obviously had the game last year, but they nearly met in the playoffs. Had Susquehanna beaten Grove City in the first round, these 2 teams would have gotten an early rematch in round 2. These teams looked like playoff caliber teams out there today. Both of these teams look like they belong with the top of Division III football. And hey, who knows, maybe these teams will play against each other again come postseason time.
Certainly on the table, but for that That about wraps it up for us here on the Riverhawk Network presented by Flow Sports. Cortland at 3-0. Get the win streak up to 15. Susquehanna drops to 2-1. Thank you guys so much for making us a part of your day. Once again, I'm Matt Vargo along with Alex Weldy. And we'll see you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.